Ooh, what's going on? What do you get when Marvel drops Ironheart from starts filming again? And Mahershala Ali basically says, "Call me when y'all get it together about Blade." You get another wild week of news, and I'm here for all of it. Welcome to the Correct Opinion. I'm your host Anthony. Let's start diving into some of this fun. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. Do we have anybody in here? Oh, it's just me right now. I'm cooking. Let's go. So I'll be able to run through my stuff differently. Aha. So there are a lot of things going on in the world of all things movies this week. I've been caught up on all of it during my little hiatus away from the channel. And I know you guys may have missed me, right? Like I know you may have missed me. But I had to do some stuff. I've been working on some other personal things, some stuff with the website, themovieblog.com, just a bunch of stuff in general that kind of just took my attention away from being able to do this live stream. So I am back now. I am excited to be speaking with everyone. I am like messing with like a whole new setup as well. So just bear with me. I'm gonna probably just move this around, right? Because right now this is like awkward. So let me just fix this real quick with you guys. Move you over here for today. All right, that's not bad. Oh, that is kind of bad. There we go. That's not bad. And we can get a little Ironheart up in here. All right, I like this. This isn't bad. Um, so there's a couple of things I wanted to chat about. Obviously, I'm definitely going to get into my foundation chat tonight, but I'm also going to try to catch up on a few things that I missed out on over the past week and a half since I've been missing in action. What's going on, Marquisha? Always happy to see you. Appreciate you coming through as always. One of the YouTube channel members, thank you for coming through. Always shout out, and we'll appreciate the channel members giving you guys all the access that I can give you, some more behind the scenes stuff, and of course these little moments like this where I give you the platform. Thank you. I really appreciate you. So if you guys are ever interested, you guys get access to the YouTube channel membership as well. Check that out. But there's a couple things. I'm gonna dive right into some stuff. So let me go ahead and get myself set up on the stage. And I'm gonna, you know what? I'm gonna let you guys know. And I'm gonna be honest. I've had a week and a half. It's just been really, really, really busy and really, really, really hard to the point where, I'm sugarcoating it like, I just had to do other stuff, but stuff has been going down. And I'm happy to be back, but there's a couple things that I missed that I really wanted to talk about. Like I had this show set to go live a couple times. Like I think I was supposed to do it like a week and a half ago, and I was about to hit go live, something big came up. I hope you guys forgive me, you understand, but again, I do want to touch on some of these topics that I thought were interesting throughout the week. Like Bella Ramsey. Bella Ramsey might be Marvel's Kitty Pryde. Did you guys hear that? Bella Ramsey might be Marvel's Kitty Pryde for the X-Men. The Last of Us, The Last of Us just lost its co-creator and showrunner Neil Druckmann. And Fast and Furious just might be going full on Tupac hologram for the next movie. And rest in peace to Michael Madsen. That was a real one right there. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff that we're going to be talking about here on our favorite episode of The Correct Opinion, where the fandom meets the facts, and don't waste your time. Let's get into it. One thing I did want to talk about. Oh shoot, I don't even have something set up for this. So let me just throw something up for this real quick. And I'm not going to do anything too fancy, but I did see this movie a couple weeks ago, and I did think it was a whole lot of fun. Um, I think some of you have been checking it out based off of what I've been seeing with the box office numbers, but let's see if you guys might have heard of this little film here. Just maybe if you might have heard of this one right here. So, I'm gonna start real quick with this because I did get a chance to see this movie and I did have a lot of fun with this movie. So bear with me, guys. Um, Actually, let me do this. I'm gonna switch my camera. One sec. How many people could do that, right? Just disappear on the live stream for a quick second. Just for a quick second. And let's get it over here. There we go. Okay. Ah. All right, now I feel like I could talk to y'all because you're in my normal spot. Let's start off with this F1 movie, right? So I enjoyed the movie. Brad Pitt was out here doing his own stunts again. He's playing an aging Formula One driver coming out of retirement. Think of it like Top Gun, Maverick in a helmet. The premiere in London was star-studded. Tom Cruise even came out to show up for the boy. And the internet had the moment had the whole internet gasping, right? Tom Cruise showed up. I haven't seen these two on the same red carpet in over 2 decades. That was a whole other thing. But I do think that this movie did really good things. So I will record my F1 movie review with you guys real quick. I hope y'all don't mind. For those of you who are new to this, sometimes I do this. I use the live stream to be able to record my review, and I'll edit it and do all that other stuff later. So let's get into it. All right, yeah. This is what you guys usually see in the in the members. You guys get to see me like behind the scenes do this, so bear with me. It's going to sound a little silly. I'm gonna power through this real quick. I'm gonna do my F1 review. You guys are going to see it later on the channel, but right now you get to see the making of it, so bear with me. All right, ready? Yo, Brad Pitt behind the wheel, Damson Idris talking trash in a helmet, and Javier Bardem rocking a suit on the track like it's the Monaco Met Gala. F1 is what happens when Apple says, we want to make racing sexy again, and we brought Hans Zimmer to do the soundtrack. Let's talk about it. All right, so F1 drops us into the adrenaline-soaked world of Grand Prix racing, but with a twist. With a twist. Brad Pitt plays Sonny Hayes. Oh, he's this washed-up racing prodigy from the 90s. You remember the 90s? The 1900s? Who's basically the racing world's version of Rocky Balboa, minus the meat freezer punches plus carbon fiber and ego. Sonny was the guy back in the day who was that dude. He was that dude. He had all the aura until a crash nearly sent him into early retirement. Now, he's bouncing around like a Formula Drift nomad. Until his old teammate Ruben, played by the magnificently dressed Javier Bardem, calls him up like, yo, I need you right quick to come by, save my team before we get lapped into bankruptcy, right? Enter Joshua Pierce. Now, that's the team's Gen Z golden boy, played by Damson Idris, who's fast, confident, and 100% here, not here, excuse me, and 100% not here for this old head energy. What follows is a turf war with tire and smoke. Think Rush meets Creed, but with more engine revving and thankfully not a single daddy issue. So let's get into it. Let's start off with the good. What I liked about it, the action is real. They filmed this during an actual Grand Prix weekend. This ain't green screen. This is Brad Pitt, Damson Idris, dipping corners next to actual F1 cars at Silverstone. He says he doesn't want to go hang on the side of a plane, but it seems like he still's got some thrill-seeking in him when you're driving on an F1 racetrack. And then he does this with the same director who directed Tom in Top Gun Maverick. Joseph Kosinski, aka the dude who turned Top Gun Maverick into IMAX crack, brings that same high octane polish here. Drones, cockpits, POV shots. It's like if GoPro footage had a baby with Michael Mann. Hans Zimmer's music slaps. This guy went in his bag with this one. He got this music making you feel like your heartbeat is being remixed by a Formula One engine. There's really no other way to put it. Brad Pitt brings that cool uncle who used to be a rock star energy, and Damson's giving us hot-headed star on the rise with just enough arrogance to make it believable. They have a few scenes together, but not too many where they're competing for the spotlight. However, there are tones of that weaved into the story. Those are the things that I liked about it, right? Now, I know some of you had an opportunity to see the movie. I'm curious to see if y'all liked the movie or if there were any other moments y'all liked about the movie besides that. I know I'm focusing primarily on these two, but I really am trying to keep it spoiler free for those who haven't checked it yet. But that was the stuff that was the good. That was the good. Not everything is great. There's pit stops and flat tires. Some emotional beats stall out. There's a subplot about Sonny's past trauma that could have used a little less sad piano and a little bit more character depth. We hear about it, but we don't really build up any sort of attachment to Sonny's life prior to what's going on in this film. It might as well have been another racer that it happened to, and I would have probably felt the same emotional attachment. Yeah, that one fell flat. And also, yo, this movie is a little bit formulaic in spots. It flirts with tropes. Now, the old vet who used to be the main character comes back and wants another taste of that main character energy. Young hotshot coming up who got a whiff of that main character energy and is ready to fight for this like Gollum for the ring. Add in a little bit of beef, no beef, redemption arc, and we've seen this race before. Thankfully, the execution still wins and earns this the checkered flag. So listen, final verdict, honestly, straight up, if Top Gun Maverick made being a pilot sexy or sexy again, F1 puts the swagger back in the racing jacket. Yeah, I'm going to have to cop me one of those. Them Apex joints. I'm going to get me one of those. It's got thrills. It's got action. It's got some humor. It's got charm. And we got us a Brad Pitt who somehow makes 60 look like retirement is for suckers. So yeah, honestly, I do feel like F1 is pure IMAX crack. Pitt's comeback ride, it burns rubber and regret. I gave this movie an 8.5 out of 10. Call it fast and philosophical. It's sleek, it's emotional, and damn fun to watch on the big screen. So if you're into racing, redemption arcs, or you just want to watch Brad Pitt and Damson Idris try to outsmirk each other at 200 miles an hour, F1 delivers. Hit that like button if you let Bardem be your team principal. Subscribe if you've ever yelled at a steering wheel. And don't forget, we got more hot takes. We got more race day drama. And we got more movie heat every week right here on The Correct Opinion. That's all I got for this one. I'm going to check y'all all later. Peace. No, not y'all. That was just for the recording, y'all. Y'all stick around. Y'all stick around. I told y'all, if any of y'all caught in on that in the tail end, I was just recording my joint for what I'm going to be doing later. Now, members, Patreons, y'all have seen me do this before. Sometimes I got to get my recordings out, and this is the best place to catch me giving you these live critiques and reactions first, but then I also get to react with y'all. So if any of y'all have seen this, I'm curious if y'all saw the movie, what y'all thought about it. Who else we got up in here? I know there's only like 8 of us right now because I went like an hour early. So some people's going to be checking in at 6 like, what did I miss? Y'all the real ones for this one. Gothic chick. Man, if I could bend my thumb, I would do it the right way, but this one don't bend. It's Baby Clay says F1 is good. one is good. Yeah. I think it was a solid little movie. It was the last movie I screened. I haven't been able to see anything in a while. I missed my 28 years later screening. I missed my Jurassic World screening. I Warner Brothers is coming through for me with the Superman screening. Um, because I'm gonna be out of town. Uh, but yeah, it was starting to look bad for your boy. Thankfully we got Foundation. Thankfully we got Foundation, and hmm, hmm, we have From. Now this is for all the Fromly out there. I know y'all mostly going to be checking this on the replay. I'm gonna put this out here for all of you who are with me right now. We touched on this a little while ago. I think it was like maybe like 3 weeks, maybe like a month ago on one of the live streams. We could start talking about From a little bit again. We're not going to go all in, but we can start talking about it again because they have been talking about it. So let me go ahead and let me switch. And where's it at? Here we go. So, for those of you who know, I am a YouTuber. I'm also a critic. I'm also the editor-in-chief of this website here called themovieblock.com. So when I'm not actively on YouTube, when I'm not actively doing my day job, when I'm not actively being a husband, a father, or working as a YouTuber, self-producer, director, editor, an on-air personality and friend of yours, I'm actually curating some cool posts that are going up and keeping up with all the latest trends and news in the film world. So this one has caught my interest, obviously, which is the return of From. From, we have found out. Oh, let me get y'all over here too. Let me get this up in here. Uh, So I did want to take some time to talk a little bit about From for all the Fromly who have been out there and been rocking with us for such a long time. Um, we have confirmed that From season 4 is now filming. And I need to emphasize a little bit to y'all about why this is such a big deal, because I think some people might not understand what we just went through at the end of season 3. Now, some of you who have been rocking with the channel, been checking out the live streams, know that we heard from the creators that they typically film the show in the fall. Because of the writer's strike, they actually had to film season 3 in the winter. We're hearing that they're filming in June, which is a whopping 3 months sooner than they normally debut their seasons. So to me, it feels like that they're making a very intentional effort to bring back From sooner than later. So we've got this confirmation that From is now filming. And they went kind of far, I would think, a little bit with the announcement. Like, they were sharing this information on their social media. So if you guys do follow them on social media, you check out their stuff, you saw this. Let me go ahead and play it for you.
Okay, you guys have asked for it, and here it is. We're about to talk production season 4.
Woo! That warmed my heart. That warmed my frosty little black heart. That right there, like, I love how aware they are. They took your comments and made a video out of it just to share how much they pay attention. So yeah, they know. And they put this hype reel up to let us know it's in production now. This is really cool. We almost never get anything like this from productions. And I love how engaged they are with the fans. I love that they feel like, or they're letting us know how aware they are of their comments. I really enjoyed this right here. But that's not it. Not only on their back on set, and side note, if Jade is screaming, then you know it's going to be good. But they've got a lot of other things that have happened with the cast in the past few weeks. So I did touch on this a little while back. There was like this convention. I think it was like the woods or the cabin or something like that. It was like this horror convention. And actors David Alpay and Scott McCord, who we lovingly know as Jade and Victor, made an appearance. Now, I look for this stuff. I look for it. I had no idea they were going to be at San Diego Comic-Con last year. I'm almost booked tickets for this year, hoping that they would come back, but they're apparently filming. I'm hoping they come out to New York Comic-Con. Hint, hint. But they did this cool panel. And we saw some of it on the live stream before. I'm gonna bring there's actually a lot of it out there, and there's this cool channel on account on Twitter or X. It's called Fans of From. They are so cool. Go ahead, give these guys a follow if you haven't already. They follow the cast. They have all the cool details. Most of the time when I'm getting from news, I'm getting it from these guys. Check this channel, this account out, Fans of From. They not only apparently went to the event, they recorded the panel for us. So I did want to give you guys some of the information that they gave the audiences in a cool little Q&A, and then go into some other stuff that came out of it as well. So let's hop into it. You know what? Let's just be careful with the copyrights. I'm gonna fast forward past the song a little. Oh, no problem. Yo, the Fromily showed up too. The Fromily showed up. I love the crowd interaction in this. So they did break it up into segments, so I'm gonna go ahead and start playing the next part. I think I have these in chronological order. Don't hold me to that. But I tried my best, y'all.
We're trying to think outside the box. So as David and Scott, would you have put Sarah in the box?
Wow, that's how we're starting the morning.
Good morning.
The answer is yes. What are your thoughts on homicide? Would I have put Sarah in the box? I mean, listen. I used to have a puppy dog, and the number one rule of having a puppy dog is consistency. And you can't be changing the rules all the time. It confuses the puppy dog, and then it pees on the rug because it doesn't know what it's supposed to do. It gets stressed out, it gets antsy, it eats its own paws, it starts eating other people's poop. The last thing you want is Sarah going around eating poop. And so for the sake of consistency, as much as it would sadden me, I would have to agree with Scott, and we would have to put Sarah in the box. That's the only way to do it.
I'm gonna actually take my answer back.
So am I. Because Sarah doesn't deserve to go in the box.
And I'll tell you this.
It wasn't her. It was the town.
It was the town.
It wasn't. She wasn't in her right mind.
Yeah, it just the time. It wasn't the good timing, really, for any of us. And here, I'll say
It was a
this.
bad time for Sarah, for sure.
I got to work with Avery last year, and we did these scenes together. And I always love saying,
I gotta pause this real quick. Would you have put Sarah in the box? I need y'all to let me know this in the comments real quick. Please, 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 just real quick. Either a yes or no in the comments. I'm gonna get back to it.
as I said it last night, she is the Sarah that you know. She's not like that. She's totally hilarious, total cut up. And I would eat poop with her. When it came down to it, I would eat poop with Avery because she's amazing. And so my heart, I couldn't put her in the box. Come on, man.
So you rush her into the forest and hide her somewhere and...
Yes. Wouldn't you?
Well, let's see a show of hands. Sarah's in the box. Not Avery. Sarah in the box or not in the box? Sarah in the box. Hands up.
Okay, there you go. All right. All right. We won't tell her.
She'll never know.
All right, moving on to the next one. Now, again, I think these are in order. Don't hold me to this. But so far, it's looking like Gothic Chick and Marquisha is saying Sarah's going in the box. So that's 2 of y'all on you. There's more of y'all on X. Y'all could comment on X. I know y'all probably listening on the spaces, but you can comment. I'm gonna see it here too. Let me know if you would have put Sarah in the box. I'm gonna put this next video up.
Audition process to get on the show.
Oh, okay. In case you guys didn't hear about it, this question is about the audition process to get on the show, and apparently something passed and it's trending. But yeah, what was the audition process for getting on the show? And this is what they're chiming in on right here.
Do you want to go first?
All right, I'll go first. The audition process was we were in the midst of the pandemic, and so I got the audition for this show called From. All I knew, and I'm sure David's story it's not too dissimilar, was that it was from the producers of Lost. Very little description about people being trapped in a small town, and I auditioned for Victor, who was described. There's very little character description. So in the auditions that we get, right, we get a couple of scenes to put on tape for them. We read with somebody, and we get a little character description from casting sometimes, right, that says. And so all it said for Victor was that he'd been in town the longest, and that he lacked social graces.
Sounds like half of us by the end of the
So what was interesting was that I had just about a year beforehand. This is the story. I'm going to try and keep it brief because now I'm talking too much. I don't know if I told you guys this story. So I had auditioned I'm in New York, and I had auditioned for an off-Broadway play for a character, nothing like Victor, whatever. But in the work that I had done for this audition, I had kind of found the voice of something that really resonated with me on an emotional level that I was starting to apply to for this audition. Needless to say, I didn't get this off-Broadway play, and it's a damn good thing I didn't, because a year later, or whatever it was, this audition for Victor lands, and just for fun, I was working with my coach. I said, I'm going to try this thing, this voice, this thing let's start there and see where it takes us. And that was kind of how I found Victor's music, basically, the way that he speaks, because the way that John writes, it just naturally, that was the impression I got. I thought this might work, and my coach goes, yeah, I think. So again, I didn't really know he'd been there the longest, so I did this audition where I slicked my hair back, and I put on an old work coat, and I yellowed out my teeth, and I'd had minor surgery, I don't think it was on my nose. So I had this big band-aid.
For the audition?
No. Yes. They're important.
And you're committed.
I know, very committed. Anyway, so I had this big band-aid across my nose, and I had to explain to them that it wasn't a character choice, or whatever. Anyways, I did it, and the truth is that they came back and they liked the audition, and then they said, so they want to test you. Great. But they want to test you for another role. And so I was like, oh. And the role was, I think I can say this now, right? Because it was actually for the priest. It wasn't Father Cautry at that point. What happened was our good friend, he came in and killed it, and they designed that whole role for him.
Okay. All right. Going into the next video. That video ended there. 1 second. This should be the continuation. This better be the continuation. You guys are going to have my head if it ain't, right?
Tested with Jack for the priest, and I was an Irish guy.
Nailed it.
And I remember, and I said to my wife, I'm like, this is great. This is a bigger part. Actually, technically, he was a series regular, and Victor wasn't. But I said, did you know that story? Did I ever tell you that? And then so I was like, oh, I want the Victor thing. Anyways, news came back, didn't get it.
Wait. Do the accent. Do the Irish
I
accent.
didn't actually do an Irish accent, but he had an Irish name, I think, is how I remember. Anyways. And my agent calls me and says, casting says that they're still looking for a Victor, but he goes, but I would let that one go because they're probably going to go older. So I was like, oh man, that was the part that I wanted. And then 2 weeks later, Jack came back and said, oh, I want to test you for Victor. And then it all worked out.
I can't imagine anybody else playing Victor.
Well, thank you. I mean, thanks so much, you guys. And just really thank you guys for watching the show, because that's why we're here. That's a big deal for us.
Yeah, it's
You guys
really
watch.
huge.
It started very small, as you know. And so that's my audition.
And also, like, we're in Halifax, Nova Scotia. It's a very small film industry there. Like, it exists, but it's very small. We never get to see our fans. We don't know who's watching the show. And so to come out here and find out, like, oh, you guys have been watching it and are really into it, it blows my mind. So thank you.
Man, so that's a cool little nugget of information, and you can see it based off of not just their sincerity and the way that they're interacting with the panel, but you're gonna see a little bit more as we continue going. So yeah, who do we have here? Who's this? Adeline here. You got animated images? Oh man, look, if you guys didn't notice, we're also streaming live on Kick. It's a new platform that's available to be streaming on, so I decided to give it a shot. And look what they can do. That's kind of cool, Adeline here. Appreciate you coming through. Thank you. But yeah, let's move on to the next video. They get really into these stories, and it's just really insightful and eye-opening to hear about how isolated it kind of feels, I guess, for them. Because where they're filming, and they're like, look, we don't ever really get to meet our fans. And I'm like, you guys aren't recognized on the street? I would know Sarah walking down the street. All right, that you the boy in white. I'm gonna know you if I see you. So that's why I was like, that's kind of cool. But let's move on to the next one.
Parker for bringing that to our lives.
Yeah.
My audition story? So I was, oh man, it was so crazy. So I was up in Vancouver at the time. During COVID, I got out of LA because there was nothing happening in LA, and I thought, I'll go to Vancouver. Like, there seems to be work up in Canada. The COVID numbers are less, and so so I got like a little apartment, tiny little apartment, like about the size of the stage. And in the corner, there was like a little cutout right by the entry door, and so I put up like a black tarp, and that's where I would do my auditions. So this audition came in, and like the setup was like what you would expect, a chair with an Amazon box with a laptop on top of it. But before that, the character that I got, and because they wouldn't send a script, because they were being very secretive about it, but they sent me a character description, and it told me everything I needed to know about Jade. Jade is a 17-year-old Chinese girl.
So you had to have a lot of surgery.
So yeah, I had a little work done on my nose. So what am I going to do with this 17-year-old Chinese girl? They said, well, yeah, they've been auditioning people, but they haven't really found what they're looking for, so we thought maybe you want to give it a read. I'm like, are you serious? Yeah. And they said that they had written some scenes for the audition, and then, because they did eventually, and I can say this now, they did send me a script for the pilot. And Jade was legitimately in the back of the car, just this 17-year-old girl who's like riding with her buddies, and they're all high. But that was it. And there was no, like, she basically gets into the accident, she falls out of the car, and that's it. So I had nothing to go on. So I thought, ooh, I could do anything. And at the time, this is COVID.
Okay, let's see if I got this one.
Moment where I was like, I started watching a lot more than I ever had. So this is a long answer. I took the time to go, okay, what if everything I think I've been doing is wrong? What if all the work that I've been doing what if I've been stuck on a set of train tracks that I shouldn't have gotten onto? What if there was this other thing that I should have done? Let me just do some research here. Let me try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. I watched so much during COVID. I'm sure you guys did too. Just sat in front of like Netflix and just absorbed it all. And I felt like I was data mining for like another way. I watched Sons of Anarchy from top to bottom. I watched, and then I watched a lot of comedies. I watched Parks and Rec. And for me, I was like, man, how great to be able to go out there and just to be free in front of a camera with a script, like just to explode and be funny if you want to be, and just laugh your ass off at work all day and then go home on that high. Like what a privilege, what a blessing that these people have. And I thought to myself, somewhere in deep dark COVID, when I was filming, whether it was Debris or like another Hallmark movie or whatever, I was like, I just want to like do something that makes me happy. Whatever it is I do next, it's gonna be a comedy. I don't fucking care what it is, it's gonna be funny. 17-year-old Chinese girl, I got this. I got this. And so the audition, like literally these scenes were written for the audition, and it was, finding Toby's dead body. And so for me, it was just like, the guy doesn't believe what's going on. This is perfect. This is comedy, right? So I played with that, and I gave them some range, and me in front of my, bluish gray tarp with the boxes and the chair and the laptop, and I just had the one audition. They liked it, and then the next thing I knew, they flew me to Halifax, and then I got the script, and that was it. So,
and what a blessing it is to have David on.
So again, for you guys, this footage is from this Twitter channel, fans of From, Twitter account. If you guys haven't, give these guys a follow, a like, all that good stuff. Yeah, thank these guys for being able to be our eyes on the ground and get this footage for us. So yeah, big thing there. So the next one we have is right here.
Walking Dead family reunion, and you guys being a part of that now family is amazing. Well, what do you think individually makes a Walking Dead fan also so drawn to From and so crazy about From?
I got thoughts on that. Well, I've been watching it because I have to admit that I hadn't seen it until about a month and a half ago, and I was like, well, I got invited here, like I want to make sure that I don't feel like the odd man out. So I started binge watching it, and I just finished episode 1 of season 6 yesterday on the flight over here. So I've been just watching it every day for like a month and a half. I feel like there are some philosophical similarities between the two shows. The concepts of found family are very important to both. Like you've got a bunch of people who shouldn't get along, who would never meet, being forced to sort of not only get by, but to live, which is like crucial. That's what Colony House is. It's not just surviving, it's living, right? And Town is more about structure and rigidity. You've got, well, I think that's like the biggest one is the found family aspect of it. And then, we're zombie adjacent. We've got these things that, can't seem to die, but they're more smiley. It's not until they get really close to you that they shed their skin, whereas like in The Walking Dead, if you want to get through like a fence or something, you just shed your skin and you walk through the fence. There's that. But what makes the fandoms overlap is that even though both stories are cloaked in horror, at the heart of them, they're both about human drama and soul. That's the critical thing, right? It's like falling in love with people, like Rick. Rick is your standard archetypical hero, right? He's the sheriff. By the end of season 5, he's gone way off the rails, right? And I'm very interested to see the continuation of that arc, because right now he's in You know, he's in the depths. But he's managed to convince the people around him that he still knows what he's doing. I'm very interested to see. What's that?
You see that with Boyd.
And you see that with Boyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You do see it with Boyd. Yeah.
And that was beautifully said, by the way, and I feel like I don't really have much more to add to that. I think a lot about that, about, you know, the survival, what it brings out in us, our own soul evolution as we go through things like the pandemic. Like that was the show coming out of that, you know, for us. We were still, you know, if you remember that. Like,
Yeah. I was convinced for a very long time, actually, that our show was really a documentary on us.
I love this. I think the convention was called the camp. I think that was the name of it, the camp. There's a couple more of these. Let me see how many more of these. There's like one more of these, and then it goes somewhere else, someplace I didn't expect it to go. So I'm gonna play this next one, and then let's go into it.
That comes out at night, so don't go outside. Yeah, that's really funny too. Sheriffs, and then there's some other overlaps too. You know, the ballerina, all these things, these images, these motifs that keep recurring and repeating.
Well, you guys talk about a little bit of a comedy. What do you get any like funny stories behind the scenes?
Nothing
jokes?
funny ever happens.
No, so I want to hear something that you would not normally say out here.
Put your cameras away. As a COVID allegory, you know, like it made sense to me. We're all stuck in this town. We can't leave. There's this.
Okay. So what happens after is kind of cool, but kind of unexpected. It was like this moment that I don't think a lot of people knew they needed in that moment, but then it just happened and they went with it. Let me know what you guys think. This was kind of interesting. So after they did that, I don't know how it happened, but somehow David Alpay, I don't even know if this was the same day. It looks like they changed clothes, but David Alpay might have given it. I think he gave away his shirt. I think that's what it was. I think he gave away his shirt because he was wearing the shirt with the cats on it from season 2, and then he had another shirt. But he got his hands on a violin, and then this happened. I don't know if I even thought about hearing the rest of that song. So, yo, big thank you to Gen X Ready Red here and fans of From over on Twitter or X. Yeah, you guys really came through in the clutch. And then they decided to go even further, as if they hadn't done enough. This happened, and we got the duet we didn't know we needed.
Oh no, we gotta start over. We're gonna do that one, yeah?
Yeah.
We're gonna do that.
Yeah. That one.
Yes, this
This
is
one over here.
I know.
The one we've been practicing for 2 weeks.
It's the vodka. It's the vodka.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
When I was just a little boy, I asked my mother what would I be. Oh, will I be happy? Will I be rich? This is what she said to me. She said, que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Oh, no, no. Well, when I grew up and fell in love, I asked my baby what lies ahead. Oh, will there be sunshine day after day? And this is what my baby said. Sing it! She said, que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. No, no, no. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. David Alpay.
Another chorus.
Now, I have children of my own. They ask their mother what we want to be. They say, will I be handsome? Will I be rich? Will I
get to go to the Camp in Peachtree City.
I tell them tenderly, que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. Hey, 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 hey. Que sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. The future's not ours to see. No. Hey, sera, sera. Whatever will be, will be. Whatever will be, be. Oh, whatever will be.
I was starting to get into it. I'm bumping my head and stuff. I was starting to go with it. It's over. Um, Michael Lamont, what you say? We need a Buffy-esque musical episode of From. I wouldn't be mad at that. Or if they could give us like a behind-the-scenes documentary where all the talent shows off their musical talents, because I know there's some singers up in there too. I think it's Avery, Sarah. I think she's a singer. Yeah, let's do. Matter of fact, From is a band. Yo, can you imagine a band named From? Hold that thought. Because what's wild is that they didn't stop there. It looks like these guys were having so much fun with their fans that they went next level. Yes, they obviously have a whole bunch of cool t-shirts that David Alpay was just giving away to folks. But they did the unthinkable when they went even further. And it looks like that they were hanging out with fans. And I don't know about y'all, But this looked like the hotel. This looked like, yo, you know, they just staying at the hotel where the convention's at, and you guys want to, I know the show's over, but you guys still want to chill? And they started hanging out with fans. They had a fire pit. They were playing more music. They brought their guitar and violin, and they had a good old time directly with the fans. Some of you, it looked like, I feel like I recognize her. I feel like I recognize her. But yeah, this looks so cool to just have this really cool up close, intimate time with the cast after an event like this, to just extend it even further. And because Fans of From is just the shit today. They didn't have to do that. They didn't have to do that. So, you know, big round of applause to David Alpay. Big round of applause for Scott McCord for being two stand-up individuals, for not only showing up to this event, the cabin, this horror convention, doing this amazing panel. Big shout out to Fans of From on Twitter for sharing all this amazing footage of the event for those of us who couldn't attend. And for going, again, just making this moment, keeping this show going while we're all sitting here waiting, because this magical moment has happened to re-pique our interest right here.
Okay, you guys have asked for it, and here it is. We're about to talk production season 4.
We cooking. We back. We almost back. They're filming right now. But since that's happened, I noticed that like they started sharing a little bit more footage. A lot of this footage don't look new, but they're sharing in celebration.
Nice to see you here. Oh my god. Boyfriend forever.
Matter of fact, I gotta take this music out. I don't even know if it's copyright. Let me get that out of there. But we get this cool, you know, behind the scenes montage of the cast on the set. Again, I don't know if this is new, because my man, he ain't supposed to have two eyes. He ain't supposed to have two eyes. We know that, right? So I don't think any of this is new. However, they have been releasing this behind the scenes footage for us to get an idea of what's been going on or what that's like. And then again, David, because he's just a giving guy. He's just an awesome human being. He gave us this.
All right, so surprise, I'm back for season 4 from. Yeah, things are getting weirder, darker, and somehow even more messed up than before. You'd think we'd caught a break by now. Nope. Not even close. If you want to see me doing my thing in full chaos mode come through. Want to see it live? Hit me up. Trust me, you're going to want front row seats for this ride.
That might have been AI. It said, you want to see it live? That might have been AI. He said, "Do you want to see it live instead of live?" Man, if that was AI, they're getting really good. They're getting really good. That one might have fooled me. That one might have fooled me. That one might have fooled me. But he slipped up with
Want
the
to see me
live.
doing my thing in full chaos mode come through? Want to see it live? Hit me up. Trust me, you're gonna want.
Yeah, he don't talk like that. That's AI. My bad. My bad, y'all. My bad. I should have caught this way sooner. But so should today. But this is definitely like AI. He don't say come catch it live, hit me up. He don't talk like that. That's not how he talk. But yeah, it's been a whole little vibe for From the Fromly over the past couple weeks, and I just wanted to catch up and put everything together for us so we could all enjoy it together. I see y'all out here, y'all starting to wait, y'all coming out, come on through, come on through, come on through. Appreciate you people, but thank you for checking that out. Fromly. As I get more information, I'll be happy to share it with you all. Obviously, you guys know I do have some insight, but I gotta be real with y'all. A lot of my focus has been with Foundation. I've been focused on Foundation these past few weeks, and I'm very much entrenched in all things psychohistory. So I'm not gonna go straight into Foundation just yet. I'm gonna give it some time because we still a couple minutes early from the originally scheduled start time. So what I'll do is I'll go through a couple of news bits that came up over the past couple of weeks while we wait for people to chime in, to join in, and we can go from there into our Foundation chat. What's been happening? So I'm gonna share this tab. Like again, if you guys don't know, I run this wonderful, wonderful, wonderful website called themovieblog.com. You guys may not know this, or you guys just may not have been born yet. But this website is actually the oldest website, the very first blog on the internet, the very first film blog in the United States dedicated to film. This website has been around in existence since 2002, 2003. We're going on 23, almost 20. We're leading up to 25 years. I'm the editor in chief. I'm the senior editor. I'm the longest running editor of this website. So if you guys ever are curious as to what it is that I'm doing and why I'm not live streaming, I'm doing one of my other 5 jobs. One of them. So there was a couple things that came out. So there was this piece of news here on the movie blog. I've had Regina King. Now this one is a little bit old. This one slipped by me somehow. But Regina King is going to be directing again. Regina King is going to be directing again. And not only is she directing again, she's coming back to the world of comic books. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Regina King, she has been a longtime talent in the film industry as an actress. She recently, not too recently, dipped her toes into the world of film directing with this film called One Night in Miami. She's always had a toe in the world of comic books and sci-fi. She starred in The Watchmen for HBO. She's been the voice of Riley and his brother. I forget the Boondocks. She was the voice of both the Boondocks. She's in this. She's in this comic book world. Now she's going to be bringing her Academy Award winning talent to an Image comic adaptation of this story called Bitter Root. It is a movie adaptation, and I'm going to show you guys what I found out about it. So it's an adaptation based on the Image comic series by David F. Walker, Sanford Green, and Chuck Brown. Now, I love to give credit to all of the people who work on creators in these things, the writer, artists, everyone involved. They are all the creators as far as I'm concerned, if I have a say in it. It's a story that takes place during the Harlem Renaissance of 1924, and it follows the surviving members of the Sangiri family once the Sangiri family, once legendary monster hunters, now fractured by grief and philosophical differences. They battle supernatural creatures infected by a malevolent force that thrives on the racism and hatred of the time. So they actually fight monsters that are the physical manifestation of racism and hate at the time. They're a family of monster hunters. This infection transforms humans into monsters, forcing the Sangiris to choose destroy or cure. This sounds cool. I like this. This almost feels like a little bit of a Kingdom Hearts type thing, like the Heartless, where the Heartless are the manifestation of people's hate or heart come to life. This gives me that. This is giving me Kingdom Hearts vibes, where we have these families of monster hunters taking on these manifestations of hate. I love this idea. I love this concept. The art looks cool. I'm familiar with this artist. Sanford Green is one of those guys. He's been around for a while. He always gave me like a mix of Chris Bachalo and Humberto Ramos style. He's got that dynamic kinetic energy, which was always really cool to me. I'm excited for this. So I just did want to give you guys this quick bit because I will be talking about it as more information comes out, but this is where you're going to hear it first. Regina King is going to be directing this story called Bitter Root, which is going to be an Image Comics adaptation. Oh, did I mention the most exciting part? Like, as if Regina wasn't enough, we got some more Academy Award winning nominated people involved with this, where we have King reuniting with Ryan Coogler, Zinzi Coogler, and Sev Ohanian of the Proximity Media family to bring this project together. So Ryan Coogler is the one, his company, who is producing this project, hiring Regina King to bring this project out and tell this story. I love all of this. I love everything about this. The fact that Ryan Coogler is involved in a comic book story, that is great. Every time this man touches something with comic books, I enjoy it. He's bringing in Regina King, another Academy Award winning talent who, whenever she touches something comic books, I love it. And you're giving her a chance to direct again, which I haven't seen since One Night in Miami, which again, I loved the direction. I'm excited for this project. To me, it has all the makings or all the ingredients of something incredible. Let's see it happen. But yeah, it's going to be a combination of supernatural horror, real world social commentary, and the Harlem Renaissance setting. Now, who are they going to cast? I'm getting Lovecraft Country vibes. Who are they going to cast? Yo, if they hit us with a solid cast, like you come out swinging with the cast, yo, we're on the potential for, we're on the eve of greatness right here. Let's see what happens, but I'm hyped for this one. Let's move on to the next one. For those of you who are just joining, I'm just going through some news real quick until we get the foundation chat going. We did do a few chats about the F1 movie, and we did some From catch up for the Fromily because season 4 is filming. So if you guys are just now catching in, you can definitely rewind and then fast forward to get to this part. But I'm just going to go ahead and go through some more news topics, give you guys my quick reactions until we get into our foundation topic in a few moments. As well as this, we got to talk about Ironheart because I did get a chance to interview Ryan Coogler, Shanaka Hodge, and ask them about how folks were review bombing it before they even saw it. And I got to get their input and their thoughts on this. Just
that backlash is usually like not factual. You know what I mean? Like if you check internet narratives, you know what I'm saying? Like you know, I could tell y'all cause I know, you know,
yeah, and he gets into it. So I definitely want to touch into that interview where I got to speak with Ryan and Shanaka about the backlash that Ironheart has been receiving, even from folks who hadn't even seen the show before it even came out, before even critics got it. They were dropping reviews for it. And I got to get his honest thoughts and opinion about the backlash. And what does Disney do? And I thought that was a really poignant, important thing. What does Disney do when these things happen? So yeah, I got to ask him all those things, and that's going to come up in a little bit later. Let's hop on to the next topic, and this is a big one. We lost a real one, y'all. Legendary actor Michael Madsen has passed away today at 68. Now, some of you may be familiar with the actor because we've seen him in a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies where he's been nothing short of excellent. We know him as Mr. Blonde in Reservoir Dogs. He's also been in Kill Bill, Hateful Eight, um, but he's one of those amazing, recognizable faces. We see him, we automatically know, hey, there's the bad guy. He's playing a criminal. He's the guy we've got to beat. He's the final boss. We've seen him in all of these incredible stories, giving all of these incredible moments, delivering such incredible dialogue with grace and talent. Um, Everybody's going to link him to that ear cutting scene, but we know him for a lot of other things because the actor had over 200 acting credits to his name. He's a poet, musician. He's got poetry collections. He's going to leave a void in the world of cinema in our hearts. So just wanted to give a little bit of attention to the great, the late Michael Madsen, who passed away sadly today at 68 years old. Feel free, for those of you checking this out, let me know in the comments your favorite. If you've seen any Michael Madsen movies, if you know who he is, if you remember him from Kill Bill, if you remember him from any other Quentin Tarantino films, your favorite moment, how you first got introduced. Give me a good little, Michael Madsen memory to commemorate the actor. Let us know in the comments. I'm gonna bring that back up in a few moments. Let me see what y'all saying in the comments. Let's see what else is happening. So there's this news going out that Bella Ramsey might be getting eyed to be the new Kitty Pryde. And you guys know I don't really talk about Marvel all that much on this channel. As much as I love Marvel, obviously, I don't talk about Marvel all too much on this channel, mainly because I don't want to say anything negative about something I love, and I'd rather just wait until I feel positive about it again to put that energy out there. Ironheart did a little bit to help me with that. Marvel has had some projects and products that I've enjoyed. So I'm giving them another shot, right? Like I've been on a high because of Sinners and then Ironheart, Deadpool and Wolverine. That they keep playing that Madonna song with everything, so it keeps the momentum going. So I started looking at this and I started paying attention to what they were talking about with X-Men. And I got to tell you, X-Men 97 was both a blessing and a curse for the Mutant franchise, mainly because I didn't know X-Men could be that fucking amazing. I didn't know it could be that top tier. I literally was cringing because I had to choose between X-Men 97 and Blue-Eyed Samurai when it came down to my award voting last year. It's not an easy choice. It raised the bar so much, right? Jonathan Hickman already did that with everything with Krakoa. And then the X-Men 97 cartoon came back and was like, yo, I forgot I can enjoy this in other mediums just as much. It raised the bar. So I've been paying attention to all the rumors and rumblings about the X-Men, from Jake Schreier, the Thunderbolts director, getting rehired to bring in the X-Men, to this news about Bella Ramsey potentially playing Kitty Pryde. Now, this is a rumor for now. I don't know if this is one that'll come true. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if it did. It seems like the Game of Thrones cast from the OG Game of Thrones, they've been finding their way into the MCU over the past 5 to 10 years. What's one more? However, I'm a little concerned what the internet reaction would be if they cast her, mainly because of, this hate and bigotry that seems to be all over the internet. I think I'd be fine with the casting, mainly because It depends on her stage of life, how old she is. Is this a young Kitty Pryde, older Kitty Pryde? Either way, she could probably play it fine. I'm okay with it. It wouldn't have been my first choice, but then again, I'm also not bothered by Bella Ramsey. I think that she could do a pretty good sidekick thing to Wolverine. I think that she could do a pretty good leadership thing as Kitty Pryde of her own team as Shadowcat. But let's see. Right now, like I said, there have been some other rumors floating around with this. We've heard rumors that suggest that Julia Butters is also in the mix for Kitty Pryde. Bryan Cranston is being rumored for Professor X, which would be, oh my gosh, amazing. Listen, Marvel, that is Patrick Stewart level of casting right there. Make it so. Daisy Edgar Jones is Jean Grey and Hunter Schafer is Mystique. Whatever. Not whatever, but I don't know Daisy Edgar Jones or Hunter Schafer to really have an opinion on them being rumored for the role. So I'm not excited, but I'm not dejected either. I just don't know these actors. Jake Schreier to direct. Again, this is the fault of the X-Men 97, because this is where it becomes a curse. Because Bo DeMayo gave us a story with the X-Men being victims of hatred and bigotry on so many different layers and so many different levels, from whether they were black, they were white, they were Jewish, they were gay, they were transsexual, all the boxes of being a minority and being hated and being other. He fucking nailed it with X-Men 97 in just understanding that perspective, finding the real world stories to tap into and bother and layer it and weave into the storytelling of X-Men 97. He did such an outstanding job as the writer. It raised the bar to a whole nother level. And to be fair, I'm not 100% familiar with Jake Schreier's work all that much outside of Thunderbolts, but it worries me because I would have loved to have heard that someone who's familiar with that type of background or perspective was going to be steering the ship. I really was hoping that it was going to be a minority or someone from that life experience that would just help give us that lens. But here we are. So we have this being rumored. I put it out there. Bella Ramsey could be the new Kitty Pryde. Let's see if it turns out to be true. I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'm still not back in. Marvel's got to do a lot for me to get fully back invested the way I used to be, but that's what happened. Another quick news piece. The Bear has been renewed for season 5. Viewership has soared. Jeremy Allen White has been cooking it and getting it popping like fish grease on the Bear for years. I know him from Weeds. I really loved him in Weeds. I'm excited that Disney, FX, the folks at Hulu are trying to stay in the Jeremy Allen White business. So we can expect that season 5 is going to bring back the ensemble cast, including Emmy Award winner Ayo Edebiri, Eben Moss-Bacharach, who's also our Benjamin Grimm, aka The Thing, Oliver Platt, Molly Gordon, Matthew Matheson, Liza Colon-Zayas, Lionel Boyce, and Abby Elliott. They're all expected to return. This show should start filming fairly soon. There's still a lot of excitement, although some people are starting to suspect that season 5 may be the last. Let's see what happens as they go into the new season. Let me know if you guys are excited for the Bear to return in season 5 and what your thoughts are overall on this series. I'm going to power through a couple more news topics real quick, and then we're going to get into our foundation chat. We were just talking about Bella Ramsey, so this one hit me hard. Neil Druckmann is stepping away from The Last of Us as co-showrunner. And he you know, when you look at the show like The Last of Us, and if you're someone who's familiar with the game, you understand how cinematic the game is, you understand how faithful the show is with angles, story elements, highlighting certain things that should be told a certain way. And if they do make changes, they make changes that don't alienate the pre-existing audience. Neil Druckmann's influence on the show has been nothing short of monumental. However, I do respect the fact that he's still the head of Naughty Dog, the company that brought us Uncharted, the company that created the Last of Us video game. He is the lead director. Now, if you've talked to or seen any lead directors of video games, if you ever follow Hideo Kojima on Twitter, you understand that most of the time these guys will let you know that is a full-time job. There's really not a lot of time for doing other things. So Neil Druckmann, who has been doing double duty as a co-showrunner for The Last of Us, also working on his new upcoming game, The Heretic Prophecy, he's going to step away to then shift his attention back to he's going back to the well. He's going back in the lab. He's going back to the drawing board. He's going back in the gym. Now, a lot of people are upset. They're like, oh no, season 3 is going to be bad because he stepped away. Newsflash for you. Ask someone who played the game what you're in store for, and then come back to me. Because some of y'all already know where the story is going. And if you're like me, you're probably like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. Look, he can go. It's fine. Go ahead. Right? Go make the next game. Listen, go back in the kitchen. Right? Because these guys have been cooking without you for far too long. You need to go back in the kitchen. You need to make sure all the seasoning is in there before this game comes out. Because anybody who's played a Naughty Dog game, you know. Uncharted 1, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, The Last of Us, The Last of Us 2. These games are nothing short of fucking perfection. Let this man cook. Go back in the lab and look. Maybe we'll get a Heretic video TV series down the line, and then you could come back and do for Heretic what you did for The Last of Us season 1 and season 2. We appreciate you. I understand it. Neil Druckmann, you got to step away. You got to let this man cook. Like, listen, I remember there was this documentary a while back. It was called Backstage. It was a documentary about Jay-Z and Rockefeller Records when they were doing this tour. And one of the things that happened, or maybe it was the Blackout album. My fault. It was the Blackout joint, the Blackout documentary. And these guys were in the recording studio that was working on music. And then somebody came in and turned off the music. And Jay-Z said, who the fuck turned off the music? Don't turn it. Look, the music is why we're all here. I'm Jay-Z. I sell music. Everybody in the room is here because of music. So the last thing you do when you come into our place of work is you turn off the music. If this stuff spins out of the video game, you let him get back in the lab and cook. I'm okay with it. I understand. Neil, you gotta go. We'll see you when you get back. Peace. What else we got up in here? A couple more news bits. Oh God. Why? Oh God, I'm sorry. This is not rehearsed. This is authentic, emotional reaction to the one and only Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is rumored for the role of Guile in the Street Fighter movie. Now, Gen Zers, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to hear what you got to say. Shut the fuck up. Okay? Nobody wants to hear what you got. His name is not Raheem. We didn't want this. No, you know. Let's dive into this a little bit more deeper, right? Because Cody Rhodes is being cast as Guile in the Street Fighter movie, and let's talk a little bit more about this movie just for a quick moment before I move on to the next subjects, because I gotta get to foundation. Now, I did let this get published, right? Somebody was like, Guy White makes sense. He's got a military background, American pride, strong moral compass. Rhodes, who has the in-ring prowess and the acting chops from previous appearances in film and television, brings both star power and authenticity. His commitment to his roles and real-life intensity align well with Guy's personality. So basically, yeah, he's got that intensity, he's got that energy. But here's the problem. I'm not even going to talk about the people who's making fun of him, saying he's going to bring a list to Gaia with a sonic boom. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about everything that's surrounding this movie so far. So first off, we had Andrew Koji as Ryu. You guys might remember him from Warrior. My man, fine. Okay, he's cool. He's going to be Ryu. I'm cool with that. Kalina Liang is Chun-Li. Okay. It's a choice. Let me just let y'all know. This is Kalina Liang. She's cool. She looks fine. She's got some acting chops. I know some of y'all who played the video game was like, I'm gonna need her to go to KFC before she hits the camera. But yeah, I understand. We got Noah Centineo as Ken. Now, I want you guys to go with me on this journey, because we're going to be Googling all of these people and what they look like. This is who they want as Ken. See him? That's who they want as Ken. Okay. Can we go back now? Okay. I just wanted y'all to let that sink in for a second. Jason Momoa as Blanca, or Blanca, whatever you want to call him. Blanca. Depending on what hood you were in the Bronx, it was a different name. Blanca or Blanca. Do y'all know what Blanca looked like? This is Blanca. This is him. They wanted Jason Momoa to play this green dude. I'm not done because it's they're not done, so I can't be done. Roman Reigns, excuse me. Roman Reigns, your tribal chief, Roman Reigns, as Akuma. Okay, so Roman Reigns, I ain't going front. Roman does have Akuma aura. He does have Akuma aura, right? Because when you look at Akuma, you look at Roman, the aura is there. Except there's one big problem, in that we've got this Samoan, Italianish guy playing this Japanese man named Akuma. I don't know how we got here again, but the casting is giving me reason for concern. Reason for concern with the casting of this movie so far, and we're still not done. They got Roman Reigns, they got Orville Peck as Vega. Can we let's just look at Orville Peck, because they already got pictures with him with the mask out. Orville Peck as Vega. Because that's what he does. He wears the mask, so why not? And my bad. Yeah, I didn't even show you how to picture Orville Peck. This is Orville Peck, just so you guys could see it. My bad. I didn't switch screens. This is Orville Peck. Orville Peck as Vega. That's Orville. That's who they want as Vega. This is what they're going with. I'm not done yet. There's more. Andrew Schultz as Dan Hibiki. Now, some of you may be familiar with Andrew Schultz. He's a stand-up comedian. I don't know. He's gay, right? He's a gay stand-up comedian, so I guess he's good to play Dan Hibiki in Street Fighter, which is a weird, caricature of Ken and Ryu, who wears a pink gi, who could barely throw a fireball. It's and then last but not least, 50 Cent, the rapper, is cast as Balrog in the Street Fighter movie. So I've got so many problems with this movie. I am getting ugly Sonic vibes from the direction that they're going with this joint. I am not feeling any of this. But this is what they're doing. And the most surprising part, it's brought to us by Legendary Pictures. Legendary Pictures. Now, for those of you who may not understand who Legendary Pictures are and the stuff that they've put out, matter of fact, why are they doing this to us? They've given us wonderful stories in the past. They give us Dune. They give us the Godzilla movies. I think they gave us the Batman films from Christopher Nolan. They gave us The Hangover. They gave us so many good things. They gave us a Minecraft movie for those of you who like that stuff. Oh, how did we get here? How did we get here? Oh, Street Fighter. Look, let me know what y'all think about Street Fighter, because I ain't gonna lie. I'm checked out. Like, I already see what's happening here, right? Somebody's got the rights to it, and they decided, you know what? I bet you we can make this movie, and we can make some money, and we're going to cast all these big name people to it, and people are going to show up just to see all of these celebrities or these reality stars or musicians or all these people from all these other areas of entertainment. They're going to just come see them make a movie. They're going to come for brand recognition, and that's the vibe I'm getting. And I'm not excited. I don't like any of it. We need to do something, y'all. This needs, like, I need Twitter to wake up and help, because this needs ugly Sonic level of engagement to course correct what it is that we're seeing happening in real time. This could set the Street Fighter franchise back for decades when it comes to live action. Decades. We saw what happened with Mortal Kombat. Y'all remember Mortal Kombat 2? This is where we're headed. Moving on. Real quick, James Gunn praises Adria Arjona as a perfect Wonder Woman. He followed her on social media. Somebody asked if he thought that she would be great. You might remember her from Andor. She was in Hitman. Adria Arjona, Gunn said that she has a lot of talent and she would make an incredible Wonder Woman. This has gotten the internet up in a tizzy. They've had a pretty interesting back and forth as to whether or not she would make a good Wonder Woman. I think everybody, or the majority of Twitter, is leaning towards the yes for right now. I'm with it. I think she looks okay. I don't know. At this point, whatever. Not whatever, but surprise me. You've got the floor to start things from new. You've got a blank slate, a clean canvas. Just make it amazing. The first Wonder Woman movie did an incredible job of leaving a mark on pop culture and in the consciousness of every household. You got a lot of work to do to not only not erase it, but supplant it with something that you hopefully will deliver that's better or just as good. But let's see what happens there. I did want to mention that really quickly. I don't know what's going to happen with that. I'm still waiting for them to give us Paradise Lost. Paradise Lost is supposed to be like their Game of Thrones with the Amazons. I'm excited to see that come through. But so far, that was a quick news bite of James Gunn commenting on this actress as potentially Wonder Woman. Real quick, John Watts wants to do another Final Destination movie. Let him. Let him. Let this man cook. I ain't care about Final Destination until Final Destination 6, Bloodlines. Let this man cook. It was great. I laughed. I was scared. I cringed. I hate horror movies because I'm a scaredy cat, but I'm a sucker for this stuff, and I keep coming back for more. Let this man cook. He wants to come back for more. Let him cook. He's a producer on the series. He wasn't the director. The movie made over $250 million and brought new life into the franchise. Let this man cook. He's obviously got something good there. And I say, if you give it enough time, don't rush it. Don't just come out with another one next year. You give it like 2-3 years. I'll be ready for another one. I'll be back. Another quick news bite. There are rumors, no, not rumors, confirmation that Paul Walker's Brian O'Connor is going to be returning to the Fast and Furious franchise. This is all from a surprise announcement at the Fuel Fest in California, where Vin Diesel made an announcement revealing that Paul Walker's character, Brian O'Connor, who we haven't seen since Fast 7, is going to be making a return to the franchise. Now, I believe that there was also some footage of this announcement. Maybe I don't have it, but there is some footage out there of him making the announcement, and it is official. We're finally going to get the return of Brian O'Connor. Anyway, those are my quick news bites. Let me see who we have up in here, because I'm ready to get into this foundation. The Bears a great show, Brother Day. What are y'all saying over here? Team Brother Day, ready for this foundation? I am too. The Bears a great show. Reacting to the Street Fighter news. Bullying is okay at this time. Yeah, normally I don't co-sign for that stuff, but what she said, do it. Do what we gotta do. We gotta help. We gotta fix this. But I wanted to get into my next breakdown of Foundation season 2. Oh, no. You know what? I don't even know if I'm gonna have time for Foundation season 2, because I did talk about this a little bit with the blurreds the other day. We got into my interview with Ryan Coogler and Shanaka Hodge of Ironheart to talk a little bit about the pre-backlash that the series has been receiving. Let me go ahead and bring myself over here. So we did talk a little bit about the pre-backlash that series has been receiving, which was wild to me, but not at all unexpected. It seems to be part of the standard playbook that we see a certain individuals employ online whenever certain shows cast or starring certain people, they come out and they tend to just, do this. So I did talk to these folks about it. Let me open up the video for us so that we can see a little bit about specifically the question. And yes, a big thank you to the African American Film Critics Association, Gil Robertson and crew, Trina Court, everybody over at AFCA for giving me this opportunity to participate in this roundtable with my peers in the African American film critics space, and ask these wonderful creators about their thoughts, their experiences, their approach to taking on a story like Ironheart, knowing that there's constantly this theme of pre-backlash whenever one of these things come out. So I'm not going to play the whole interview here. I'm going to just touch on a little bit of it. You got the interview is live on the channel. You can go over to the channel. I have it live. I'll put a link if you guys need it, but the interview is live over the channel. I did just want to touch on it with you guys here so that we can talk about it. So let me pull this up.
Anthony White from the movie blog, big fans, going to just dive into it. I want to kind of pick up where Tamara started. It's no secret, right? You got a young black genius in Riri, but there's a pattern of pre-backlash. Ryan, I know you used to this, right? You've done this for a few Marvel projects, but did you and Shanaka go into this process knowing that this was coming? And if so, did that weigh on you going in? Did you warn her? Does Disney have any internal preparation for this stuff? How does it work?
I mean, it's a great question, bro.
I only get one.
Yeah. No. I think, look, like, I mean, yeah.
So I had to stop just for a quick second because you can see how much this question weighs on folks. As a matter of fact, I don't know why I didn't do this. We've been going live for an hour and a half. I should have brought your comments up over here on the stage. My bad, y'all. Your comments will now appear on the stage over there on the right. Yeah, over there on the right, it'll appear on the stage. My bad, y'all. That should have been up there. But I had this moment where it dawned on me that it weighs on them because we see it from our side, but we're just seeing it on Twitter, but we never see them talk about it. Like we talk, you hear them talk a little bit like, oh, it was bad. It was, it happened. It was a thing, but they kind of aren't in the best circumstance to speak about it frankly when they're at work. So I asked them mainly because I was curious because this is something that keeps happening. Disney projects specifically, or more often than not, shows like The Acolyte or Moses Ingram and Obi-Wan, we've seen this. Does Disney help? What are they doing now that this has happened with so many projects consistently? What is their response and how do they get involved? And, you can see this coming a mile away with Ironheart, a young gifted. Oh, that was weird. Woo! That was weird. But anyway, yeah. You see these folks in these roles, we never get to hear them really talk about their experience. So yeah, let me pull this back up and let's hear what he had to say about that.
Yes, the answer is yes to all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like in you know, look, whenever you uh breaking ground in spaces that are thought of as not being for you, you know, um this happens. You know what I mean? Like in um we not you the entertainment business is not, it's not unique in that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's in every business, right? Um what I will say is that this show is for people who not permanently online expressing their opinions about everything. You know what I'm saying? Like this show is for, this show is for people who busy living their lives, bro. You know what I'm saying? And the reality is, like, as a comic book fan growing up, the comic book shop wasn't a place that I always felt safe in. You know what I'm saying? It took my older cousin who was a comic book fan to take me in there with him. You know what I mean? We got looks going in those places. You know what I'm saying? But it was through the bravery of my cousin who was a Gen Xer, black comic book fan in Oakland. You know what I mean? Who didn't care what kind of looks he got. You know what I'm saying? Or who said what to him. You know, he loved those characters. You know what I mean? He brought his younger cousin in there, not knowing I was gonna grow up and become a director, direct Black Panther, but because he wanted that space to be open to me.
Anyway, yeah, I wanted to give you guys this tidbit of this. I love this interview. I'm shit, I gotta pat myself on the back. I was nervous asking him that question, but I was like, I'm tired of waiting for next time. And that happens sometimes with us as interviewers. We'll be like, you know what, next time I'll ask them the hard question because I don't want to piss them off. I don't want to rub them the wrong way. I don't want to do any of that. And I got tired of waiting for next time. So I decided to ask my hard hitting question first. But yeah, let's go ahead and let's get into this foundation right quick and talk a little bit about season 2, episode 3. So, as usual, if you guys have joined us on one of these before, what I tend to do is I bring up my old deep dive videos from season 2 where we go into all of the fun stuff that happened. And we want to revisit it with a new perspective, with a new lens, and talk about it knowing how season 3 ended and look at it from the perspective of knowing everything that happened, right? The non-linear storytelling, the way that everything lined up, the way that it started to set up season 3 all throughout season 2 in preparation for season 3, which comes out next week. And I got to tell you guys, I've been, I'm in season 3 right now. We are so fucking back. But anyway, let's go ahead. Let's get into this. Season 2, episode 3, deep dive and reaction. I'm going to pause it at certain moments to just do a little bit more introspective and dive in analysis. Let's go.
Thank you, Foundation. We're back with another recap of our favorite, the future is effed up show, Foundation. I'm your host, Anthony, and I'm going to do my best to be your guide in this far out show as we're picking up where episode 2 ended with Gale and Salvor reeling over what they learned about the future with the mule, Salvor not surviving, and it being a post-apocalyptic world where they get chased by Terminators. Oh, there's also the Cleonic dynasty meeting the in-laws. That was a lot of fun. And everything that's going on with the first Foundation. This episode is titled King and Commoner, which seems to continue the trend of double entendres in the title, with one part referring to what we see with the intergalactic thief Halber Mallow, and also with the Cold War between Brother Day and Belrios. That doesn't even scratch the surface on what we see happen with Harry, and I can't wait to dive into it. But first, do me a favor, if you're new here, please consider giving this channel a like and subscribe to keep up with our weekly Foundation analyses and breakdown, and enable notifications so you're able to watch these videos right after they publish in order to work with us to try to figure out the mystery of the future. This week's episode opens with Gale and Salvor looking at a map of the planet Ignis, which is supposed to be the home of the second Foundation. Gale and Salvor also talk about how Gale's vision saw Salvor taken out, right next to her in the far future. Salvor is clearly not taking it well and is seriously in a weird place mentally as she wrestles with knowing how her life ends. Harry shows up but doesn't have words of encouragement. Instead, he tells them that there are a bunch of ways that they can end up at that point and then takes control of the ship to land them on the planet below. What we find out is that Harry didn't bring them to where they thought they were going, but instead, he brought them to a planet called Unis World, a former mining site. Gale and Salvor are shocked that Harry brought them there, but what Harry isn't being clear about is the fact that the Prime Radiant told Harry that he needed to go to this planet back in episode 1. Gale still has trust issues with Harry and is pissed that he still seems to be withholding information. Harry has little patience for his tormentor, basically egging her on about how the Prime Radiant required this trip. Harry needs someone to carry the Prime Radiant into the mine so that he can transfer his consciousness back inside and explore what's in the mines waiting for him. Gale still isn't with the ship, but Salvor forces her hand when she throws the Radiant into the desert and just yells at Gale to just effing do it, with Gale having no choice but to agree. We then switch back to Terminus, back to the site of the vault. The people there are reacting to how the vault incinerated Warden Yeager and requested the presence of Halber Mallow. The High Cleric, Polly, is debating the next steps with the rest of the decision makers of Terminus about whether or not they would actually bring Halber Mallow to the vault. Polly absolutely wants to do it, explaining how much he believes in Harry's plan, and they give in and they agree to find Halber Mallow. We then switch to Polly and Constant talking about the reputation of Halber Mallow, and they talk about him when we learn that Halber had been trained with the priesthood, but was more interested in being a hustler. Apparently he sold 38 of Selden's finger bones before the Foundation revoked his trade rights. Now, just listening to their description of this character, I can't help but imagine Halber Mallow basically being the Han Solo of the world of Foundation, with him being more of a grifter than anything else. Polly and Constant then board a spaceship and take off in search of Halber. We then switch back to Gale and Harry making their way across the desert towards the mine that Harry wants to.
There we go. So just wanted to stop real quick. So we need to be prepared to pay attention to this. I can't say much, but this is important. season 3 does a lot to set up season 2 does a lot to set up season 3, and season 3 is not at all shy about what happened in season 2 and its impact of what's happening in season 3. So I did want to just emphasize everything that happens with Holbert Mallow and just highlight this one little thing here about we learned at the end of the season that all of this storytelling is not being told in chronological order. So, for example, everything with Harry White, Gale, and Salvor happens way before everything that happens with Harry Black and on Terminus. They're actually two different sequence of events that are being told in parallel, but they actually happen one after the other. So we're learning about how Holber was being requested by Harry Black to come to the vault, but that doesn't happen until well after the events that we see here. So I just wanted to point that out real quick.
To investigate, Harry explains the history of the planet and how the Empire destroyed the planet after siphoning it for all of its resources. Harry and Gale then debate the merit of Gale trying to use psychohistory to save Salvor's life in the future. They argue for a bit, like they always do, and Harry then, surprisingly, uses this moment to tell Gale about his life partner Yana, who helped Harry create psychohistory, and explain that she could also read the Prime Radiant. After a bit more chit-chat, they finally make their way to the entrance of the mines. Called the Lepsis Penal Colony, where we see what looks like a labor camp with a bunch of indentured servants working the land. A spaceship arrives and Demerzel makes her way off the ship and starts heading towards one of the servants. We learn that this is the man named Belrios that Demerzel was recommending to Brother Day last episode. She offers Belrios his freedom if he investigates the Foundation. They haggle back and forth for a bit, with Demerzel promising to provide the other servants with better equipment and medical care. Belrios is very callous about getting back in the service of the Empire until Demerzel promises to reunite Belrios with his husband, Glaywin Kerr. The sound of his husband's name gets a strong reaction from Belrios, and he finally agrees to go with Demerzel to speak with Brother Day. We then switch back to Gale and Harry walking through a cave until they come across a mysterious door in the cave. Gale is still feeling like a contrarian and argues with Harry on whether or not it's really a door or it's just a wall, with Harry just giving her a clue to just try to open the effing door. And I gotta say that Gale is getting kinda annoying with her wanting to fight with Harry every step of the way. I get it, she lost Raish, but I'm really getting tired of her and her pity party about losing her guy. Gale finally gets the door open, and when the door opens, we see the Prime Radiant, Cleon, walking toward them, freaking Gale all the way out because she knows this woman died centuries ago. Harry then tells Gale that she should leave now, and tells her that if Gale doesn't hear from Harry in 6 hours, then Gale should just leave the planet as well. The Prime Radiant ends the conversation and closes the door/wall behind her. We then switch to
Yeah, I had to pause it right there because that was a lot going on right there with Calais, and she's bringing Harry back to life. And I just got to say, all of that is important because I had this theory going into it that Calais had an ulterior motive for bringing Harry back to life. And even the characters muse about this in the season a little bit when I think it was Salvor who told Harry that she thinks Calais wanted Harry to have some skin in the game. And I also noticed how the fact that Harry was no longer digital, it gave him a vulnerability that he didn't have before when he got transferred into a physical form. Now, before, Harry had this ability to just, be immune to all things. He's a robot. You can't shoot him. He's intangible. But now, as a human form, he can be touched. He's vulnerable. And not only can he be touched and can he be vulnerable, he can be controlled, or at least subdued. And that's pretty much what ended up happening, because we ended up seeing Talon Bond and the Mentalics attack and trap Harry. They imprisoned him to the point where they tried to make it seem like Harry left Gale and Salvor behind, but really, Talon Bond was trying to take him out. So I feel like that there was intent behind the Prime Radiant insisting that Harry go to Unis World before going on to Ignis to create the second foundation so he could get his human body. So I did want to just kind of point this scene out, because I think that it's going to be one of those things that we get into in more detail as we continue to move forward. But yeah, let me you know what? I'm gonna save my foundation theory for the end. I'm gonna save it for the end. Let's continue.
To someone new? Like a king or a general sitting on a throne in a room of his soldiers and peasants? Here's a cool little moment, and we see how Bermal is speaking with the leader of this group, let's just call him the king for now, people using a hologram to alter his appearance to look like someone named Trader Punions. Apparently, Holber is trying to con the people of the planet by selling them a useless device. The device that he's trying to sell them is one that he refers to as a castling device, named after the chess maneuver in which a king and a rook trade places. Holber tries to explain how it works and how these two bracelets allow people to teleport and physically switch places. And when Holber goes to demonstrate the device, we see that the device that he used was part of a con to steal royal jewelry from the king leading these people. Holber quickly does this and tries to escape on the spaceship, but they're all over him like peanut butter on jelly, and they're able to arrest Holber on his ship before he escapes. But he seems oddly calm about all of this. He asks that they return some of his things after his trial, and the other officers inform him that the ruler has already ordered his execution. We then switch to Demerzel walking Belrios around the palace, allowing him an opportunity to freshen up before meeting with Empire. Belrios declines to wash up and insists on meeting Brother Day the way that he is. Belrios meets up with the Cleons, where he learns why he was brought to the Empire. Brother Day explains to him that he wants Belrios to investigate the Foundation and find out if that's a threat to the Empire. Belrios then asks to speak with Brother Day in private, and he's granted the opportunity to actually do it, and the room empties. They speak frankly, and Belrios takes this opportunity to throw some jabs at Brother Day that he's clearly been holding.
The best mattress deals so you can get your best sleep only during the 4th of July mattress sale at Raymore Flanagan. Combined sale price.
Servitude. They antagonize each other a bit, with Day giving Belrios an ultimatum to either hit him or he kills Belrios' husband Glawen. Belrios refuses to strike the Emperor because he took an oath to serve the Empire. Brother Day used this tactic to test the loyalty of Belrios after being a servant for so long. After Belrios passes this test, we see that he's allowed to reunite with his husband Glawen in the other room. These two have a touching reunion, and we get a cool moment of Belrios finally cleaning up, brushing his teeth, cutting his hair, and we get to see a glimpse of the man underneath all that hair and filth. It's like my guy went from looking like Gandalf to Guile, as we finally see the strong military leader that everyone was speaking about. If you look close enough, it almost looks like Belrios has scars on his face similar to Gale's after she had her prayer stones removed from her cheeks. I don't know quite what this means, but if he's a Synaxian or something like that, he could be in the same group as Gale. Maybe he's just been in battle, maybe these are just scars from his battles, but I did notice this, and it did stand out to me that the camera focused on it, even for just a moment. We see that Brother Day and Demerzel are observing Belrios and his husband Glawen, and these two share a somewhat intimate moment as they watch Belrios and Glawen getting intimate, with Demerzel actually caressing Brother Day's face while talking to him. This whole moment is more than a little creepy now, as we certainly don't know Demerzel's motives for creating this intimate relationship with this Brother Day. The show has hinted that she may possibly have aspirations of leading the Empire here and there, but she's not exactly clear with her motives, nor is she easy to read. I hope we get the AI fight of my dreams in the future, and we get to see Demerzel fight the Prime Radiant in some epic showdown, but that's neither here nor there. We then switch to Gale making her way back to the ship after leaving Harry in the mines with the Prime Radiant. She reunites with Salvor, and Gale expresses her concern about leaving Harry in the cave with what looks like Callie, which doesn't make any sense to Gale since the real Callie passed away centuries ago. They notice that the 6-hour time limit is up, and they start getting ready to leave Harry behind. Salvor doesn't like how Gale and Harry are when they're together anyway, and she's ready to leave Harry behind, but Gale is hesitant to do it. After a small pep talk from Salvor, Gale finally agrees to leave the planet and continue their way to the site of the second Foundation on Loomis. We then switch to Brother Constant and Polly making their way through a crowd of people and inadvertently walk into an execution in progress. The crowd loves it, and the brothers are mostly disturbed by the sight, especially when they see that Holber Mallow is next up for execution. Polly sees Holber being carted to his execution and quickly blurts out to Holber that he's needed back at the Foundation, and then petitions the king to have a moment alone with Holber. The king declines and insists on moving forward with the execution. The crowd loves it, and Holber is still very jovial about the whole thing, even making some lighthearted jokes. Holber then starts making a very long-winded goodbye speech as he's on the verge of execution, and it's very obvious, to me at least, that Holber is stalling for time. Before he can be executed, we see that Holber has used the device to swap places with the ruler again, and now has the royal diamond from the ruler's staff and makes his escape on a flying aircraft. Polly quickly realizes that Holber is planning on stealing their spaceship in order to escape the planet, and they quickly make their way back to the ship and they safely escape. Polly sets a course with Terminus once he's reunited with Holber on the ship, and Holber is not really interested in going to Terminus and tries to use an escape pod to go somewhere else. He's then hilariously jabbed in the neck with the same needle we saw Constant use last episode that makes Holber begin spontaneously vomiting. We then switch back to Belrios and his husband Glaywin, now on a starship, as they debate whether or not they should serve Empire. Glaywin thinks they're moving too fast and Belrios needs more time to recover. Belrios insists that they need to move forward, especially with this Brother Day in charge. They continue onward until they're taken to one of the outer rings in space where they dock and they meet up with General Belrios' crew from his ship. And man, this whole moment when he walks onto the bridge, I can't help but get Star Trek vibes with the way that they revere him, and it's like seeing Captain Picard return to the bridge of the Enterprise. Belrios takes time to exchange some words with some crew members when they finally set a course for the outer ring to investigate the actions of the Foundation. We then switch back to Gale and Salvor preparing to leave the planet when they suddenly drop beneath the surface of the planet, and they have a cool little action sequence where we see that the mining robots on the planet are still very active and do their best to make sure that Salvor and Gale do not make it off the planet alive. Salvor is able to make it out of the whatever underground cavern that they fell into when the robots then divert their attention to something else. Salvor is able to detect something alive in the mountains where Gale left Harry behind. Salvor deduced that it must be Harry. They make their way over to the hand of the monument where Gale rappels down and saves Harry from certain death as the death robots from earlier are in hot pursuit, as the Prime Radiant just watches from within the caves. I mean, they just barely escape.
This brilliant device keeps your home cool in summer, even during heat waves and power outages. It's smaller than a lunchbox, cools any room within.
As they get back on the ship, Gale asks Harry how it's possible that Harry has a body, and he doesn't have a clue. And right when we think we might get some more answers, end credits. Wow, yo, that was another cool episode. I have so many questions. How the hell did the Prime Radiant get in those caves? What the hell do these caves mean? And how is this algorithm both sentient and able to travel from place to place? How the F does Harry have a body?
Why does the vault want Halbert Mallow? And how much do you want to bet that they want Halbert to steal something that will rely?
So, yes. So this reminded me, right? I have a theory. Let me get myself up on the main stage. Hold on. Let me move this off. I have a theory. And I'm gonna put it out here because there's only a couple of us here, and if you're watching this, you're gonna get the first taste of it. I'm gonna put this out later as a different thing, but you're gonna get the first taste of this theory. And let's talk about it. I think we're thinking about this 3D problem in a 2D way. We think this show is about Harry Seldon and humanity versus Cleon and his genetic dynasty, but I think the show is secretly about Demerzel versus the Prime Radiant. I think this is a continuation of the Robot Wars. Now, the Robot Wars were a series of wars of robots versus other robots. Basically, like, the robots were built with 3 rules. One was to not harm humans directly or indirectly through inaction, cause harm to humans. The second one was to obey every command a human gives. And the third one was to self-preservation, to make sure that they don't get destroyed. And I guess the robots at one point were growing in numbers to the point where it got challenging for them to really discern they went to war. They went to war. And they fought. And we saw back in season 1 and season 2 that Demerzel told us that she was a general in the army. In fact, we actually even saw that she was the one that Cleon kept as a trophy in his basement. And she's the one that I think Calais is trying to outwit. You not with me yet? All right. Like I said, I'm going to give this to y'all. There's only 8 of us here. Remember how back in season 2, it opened with Harry in that weird, torturous state? And we found out that he was conscious for 138 years in that weird black and white space. It was looking real Stanley Kubrick-ish. We saw he was there for a real long time, like really, really, really long time, until then, after a while, he started to figure out how to navigate that space better. And then we also saw that there was another being there. A being that didn't bother to interact with Harry for like 138 years. What if it was doing it on purpose to break Harry? And then at the end, fill him with glorious purpose, instructing him to go and meet her on Unis World. We saw Calais and Harry in the Prime Radiant. First, she appeared to him, I think, as his wife, and like she took on multiple forms. But in the end, she told him to go there, and he went there before he went on to Ignis and he got imprisoned. She let him loose on Gale, full of glorious purpose, and then set him on his way to get entrapped. And remember how back in season 2, they had that moment, they were on the ship with Salvor, and Harry kind of glitched when he first saw Gale. Salvor, when he first saw Gale and Salvor. He was like, oh, yeah, I remember meeting Salvor. I remember meeting her in the vault. But wait, that wasn't me. That was the other me. How the hell would Harry White, have memories of Harry Black meeting Salvor in the vault? My theory is that Calais is the reason. I think Calais is the one pulling the strings. I think she's the one that actually somehow got Harry White here and and got involved, maybe even created him, and sunk her teeth into the second foundation, manipulating it from afar. I also suspect that Calais at some point interacted with Raish and persuaded him to jettison Gale in the escape tube rather than let her stay to lead the first foundation. I don't have any evidence of this one yet. I don't know why she would do that, but this is my suspicion. Now, once Harry followed through on that instruction to go to Una's world, Calais was able to take that digital body, put it in the human body, make him vulnerable to mentalics. And then he worked with Gale to create the second foundation. I almost feel like my guy is a sleeper agent, or at the very least, he's compromised. I can't help but wonder, how would this have gone if Gale stayed behind on the first foundation? Anyway, I think Calais has a bone to pick with Demerzel. I don't know if it's as straightforward as Calais being on the opposing side in the machine war, but I suspect it has something to do with a shared past between them. I mean, Demerzel's like, what, 18,000 years old? Anyway, that's my long, wild theory about Harry White. We'll see. Hopefully they expound on that in season 3. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm on episode 2 of season 3 right now because I'm trying to get these deep dives done. I'm taking them one episode at a time. You guys know how I did it with From. I don't really want to give inauthentic or fake theories or anything like that. So I'm doing it one episode at a time. Watch one, do all that, do the video, and then move on to the next one. That's just been my approach. But it makes me wonder where this is all leading. If Gale didn't stay behind to found the second foundation, would we even have a mule? Remember, they told us, like, originally Harry predicted 3 or 4 crises. Now he's seeing a lot more. So we'll see. We'll see if the mule is one of those added on crises that were created now that Gale went off plan. But anyway, that's my big theory about the foundation. Why it's happening. Let me see real quick. Do we have any more time? I'm already over my 2-hour mark that I normally stick to. Let me see. One moment. Got my new mic. I hope it sounds good. Hope you guys are enjoying the improved sound quality. If it sounds at all better. But let's see. Do I have any more time? Because we could do one more maybe, right? If ain't nothing to do, we could do one more. Yeah, why not? Let's do one more, right? Let's do the next episode. Let's do episode 4. Let's do it. That was a much shorter deep dive too, because episode 3 didn't have, I don't think it had a really long runtime, but it had some stuff going on. It had some stuff going on. Let's see. Let's go on to the next one. I should get the blurs up in here, right? I've been meaning to get them back in here. I know they're big Foundation fans as well. All right, let's go into episode 4. Let's do it.
It has a cool meaning later in the episode as we catch up with some of our favorite characters and see exactly what happens next in this unpredictable show. But first, do me a favor, if you're new here, please consider giving this channel a like and subscribe to keep up with our weekly Foundation analyses and breakdown, and enable notifications so you're able to watch these videos right after they publish in order to work with us to try to figure out the mystery of Foundation. This episode opens to an oddly...
I prefer the mystery of psychohistory. Yeah, that's the new one. Nobody steal that. That's mine. Thank you.
Morbid monologue from Gail, explaining how we wouldn't be here if our parents never met. It's true, but a little morbid. We then see Polly and Constant waking up from their jump through space nap and
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Oh, shit, I can't even say nothing. Oh, that was deep. That was deep. Oh, man. Okay. All right. Hold on. We got to run it back. I can't say nothing. But read into it what you will about what was discussed here.
it's true, but a little morbid. We then see Polly and Constant waking up from, so you're able to watch these videos right after it opens to an oddly morbid monologue from Gail.
Listen.
Explaining how we wouldn't be here if our parents never met. It's true, but a little morbid.
A lot of parents in season 2 of Foundation. A lot of parents. You know, Gail, she finds out she's a parent. Right? She's got Salvor. Salvor's her daughter. And season 2 has a lot of people doing things that talk about procreation, and one thing can lead to another. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna tease y'all. That's good enough right there.
We then see Polly and Constant waking up from their jump through space nap and Constant heading into the back of the ship to wake Halber Mallow from where they had him secured for the jump. And my guy reminds me of Han Solo and Carbonite for some reason. They wake him up with Constant giving this guy googly eyes nonstop, especially when he takes off his shirt.
Hi, I'm Brett.
Man, the ads are annoying. At least it's not Pornhub. One time I got a Pornhub ad while we were live. I don't know how to I didn't even know they were allowed to buy YouTube. I'd swear it's not. You know what? I talk too much.
With Holber briefly mentioning his time as one of the Scarlet Monks, and then showing Constant his 200-year-old bottle of wine. Constant can't help but flirt with Holber and points out that he's somewhat of an optimist. Holber seems to flirt back a little and start to game with Brother Constant, in which he will try his best to guess her real name. We then switch to the ship landing on Terminus with Director Seth Cermak awaiting everyone's arrival and greeting everyone. Director Seth now seems to be the leading authority figure on Terminus now that Warden Yeager has died. It's also at this time that we learn that Brother Constant and Director Seth are father and daughter, which even surprises Holber. We then switch to Queen Sareth on Trantor, joking with her assistant Rue about how the royal seal is on everything in the palace. Tables, mirrors, and even the comb have the Cleonic symbol. Sareth is planning her day and comments about how she doesn't want to wear her pigments today in order to get a psychological advantage, and seem like she has her guard down. We then switch to Brother Dawn and Sareth out on a walk and... Wait, what? Didn't I say Sareth was low-key flirting with Dawn when she touched his hand at dinner? Now she's out for a slow stroll with my guy and with her makeup off? What's interesting is that she even gives Brother Dawn some information about Brother Dusk that he didn't know when she shares how Dusk and her assistant Rue had a tryst at some point in the past, when Dusk was still Brother Day and Rue was just a concubine. She also has a slick way of probing Dawn when she refers to Brother Dusk as his grandfather. Sareth, in my opinion, is doing absolutely everything she can to drive a wedge between the Cleons. And by isolating Brother Dawn and getting close to him while he's still young, it could be a big part of her plan. Dawn corrects Sareth that Dusk isn't his grandfather, but even gets him to admit how he feels that their whole Cleonic agreement sometimes feels strange to him too. And yo, the psychological warfare that Sareth is employing is incredible to watch. She's definitely trying to get this Brother Dawn to bend to her views on Brother Day and Brother Dusk. I feel like these two will have a romantic relationship at some point, similar to how the previous Brother Dawn was manipulated in season 1. But a part of me also wonders if the Cleonic Empire learned from that experience or not. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Real quick, these theories of mine be on point. I did you hear what I said? Yo, and we know that's exactly what happened because they end up running away together before the season is over. Now, I have theories about whether or not that's going to tie into events in season 3. I don't know it for sure yet, but I did have these theories about how, if you guys finish the season, you remember Brother Day and Sareth, Brother Dawn and Sareth run away together. Like, they run away together, and it's left open-ended as to whether or not Demerzel was actually going to pursue them, or they had made it so that it was in everyone's best interest for her not to. And we didn't get a definitive answer by the time season 2 ended. And like most seasons, well, like last season, there's time jumps in between the seasons, right? We saw that Harry and Gale were put into stasis at the end of season 2. You know, those things are yet to be fully answered. There are certain things that do get answered as far as lineage and things like that. But as far as what happens or what's up with this Brother Dawn, I think it's something we got to remember. I think it's something we got to keep in the back of our minds for right now, that Brother Dawn ran off with Sareth at the end of this, and she was playing him from the beginning, right? She preyed on him. She targeted him. She selected him to be the one that she felt was going to be the most susceptible, and she might have had a plan.
Dawn then leads Sareth to a secluded grove, and it looks like a scene out of the Lost World Jurassic Park with these super large trees that seem to all blend together. For real, this place is gorgeous. Sareth asks Dawn to ask whatever question he wanted to ask now that they have seclusion, but Sareth knows his question and asks it for him by stating that he wants to know if Sareth was behind the assassination attempt. She denies any involvement, but then asks if Dawn thinks Brother Day had her family killed. Dawn initially says no, but then asks, was there evidence? Sareth says there's no evidence, but considering the circumstances about how she was nowhere near the front of the line to lead Dominion, but here she is now on the verge of marrying Day to unite their kingdoms in a way that wouldn't have been possible if their family had survived, she considers all of this a little bit suspicious. Dawn tries to muster a defense for the Cleons, but admits that it's definitely possible. They then even establish that they kinda sorta like each other, with Sareth seemingly forming a little alliance with Brother Dawn and sealing the deal with a handshake to always be truthful to each other. Sareth furthers her mind control on Dawn when she asks him why weren't they arranged to be married rather than Brother Day, since, you know, they are the same man and all. Now, we've seen that these three Cleons don't tell each other everything, and we're continuing to see that master manipulator Sareth working her magic on Dawn in this scene. I really enjoyed this moment between these two, as Sareth is really trying her best to rip these three apart, but something tells me that we need to keep a closer eye on this Brother Dawn. I get the feeling he's not nearly as naive as she thinks he is. We then switch.
I was wrong. He was. I make mistakes, y'all. I called that one wrong. He was pretty naive. Let's get back to it.
To Handmaiden Rue meeting up with Brother Dusk on that painting wall that we sometimes see the Cleons admiring. This time, Rue is staring at the wall with Brother Dusk meeting up with her, discussing how, as Day, he actually added some embellishments to the wall himself, The show then decides to zoom in and focus on this portion of the wall where it looks like a skinless man is sitting on the throne of the Empire? Like, they really take a moment to make sure that this gets our attention, and I have no idea what it is I'm looking at. When did a skinless man rule? And why is he skinless? Rue and Dusk.
Hold on. We got to go back to this for a quick second, right? This is a robot, right? And anybody else disagree with me? This feels like a robot. And it looks like there's a little hint of green on the robot's neck. This reminds me of what Demerzel looked like when we saw how she was enslaved and kept as a prisoner within the palace. That gold interior. And this kind of reminds me of that moment when we saw Demerzel rip her face off in season 1. Is that Demerzel? Because that also is the symbol. See, the symbol above the head? That's the symbol that Demerzel has on her like little jewelry box thing of those planets lined up. Green is supposed to be the color of a betrayer. That's supposed to signify the color of a betrayer. And that's why it's used on this wall. And you see it not only on the neck, you also see it like in the chair above the head, almost sitting like a crown. I feel this is important, and I feel like the show pointed out how green is the color of a betrayer. We see the hint of green only on one spot of this body. The camera lingered on this thing. It's on the neck. It looks like Demerzel when she rips her face off, and it's sitting on the throne. And we have to remember, Demerzel is 18,000 years old. Now, this could be an ancient picture of Demerzel. This could be a current picture of Demerzel in a figurative sense as Cleon's forever princess.
Like, a skinless man is sitting on the throne of the Empire? Like, they really take a moment to make sure that this gets our attention, and I have no idea what it is I'm looking at. When did a skinless man rule? And why is he skinless? Rue and Dusk then continue walking toward an area called Gossamer Court, where Brother Dusk confirms that he was the Cleon that bedded Rue in the past. Dusk also mentions how he never usually speaks to people after their memories are erased, and they have an interesting little moment when Rue mentions how things are changing and how he might be the last Brother Dusk and the first grandfather Cleon, with Dusk quickly countering by saying, if the union happens. And yo, if Dusk wasn't already looking sus after the assassination attempt on Day, this definitely adds fuel to the fire. They discuss the upcoming union between the Queen and Brother Day some more before agreeing to watch the sex tape that Brother Dusk kept of his original encounter with Rue while he was still Brother Day. We then switch to a spaceship arriving at the planet Siwena and see Bel Rios and his husband Glaywin on the bridge of their spaceship taking an initial assessment on the planet and its inhabitants. What happens next is Bel letting his team know that he and Glaywin are going to wing it down to the planet to begin their investigation. I don't know what I thought when I heard them say this, but I definitely didn't expect them to drop out of the sky without a parachute from orbit and use these Spider-Man wing glider things to safely land on the planet below. And yo, shout out to Bel Rios for nailing the superhero landing in this scene. He would make Deadpool proud. They reunite on the planet and talk about how they need to make their way to the informant. Unfortunately, they have a package of supplies that they're supposed to take with them that, according to their scanners, is moving. They go to intercept the package, and we see them approach a familiar looking group of locals, with at least one of these guys being someone we've seen in previous episodes. Bell tries to barter with them to get his equipment and is even willing to buy his property back, but the locals are not trying to play nice and taunt Glaywin by telling him that they'd trade his equipment for like 6 of his pretty little teeth. Things continue to escalate until it reaches its inevitable conclusion of a fight when one of these guys hawks the most disgusting, phlegm-filled spit loogie right at Glaywin's pretty little face, and Bell decides that these locals already effed around. It's now time for them to find out. We then see that both Glaywin and Bel Rios are incredibly skilled fighters. Even after years of indentured servitude, Bel Rios seems to be able to handle himself pretty well, making me look back and wonder how it would have gone down had he felt like picking a fight with Brother Dave back in the throne room when he was taunted. Glaywin is not happy that Bell started the fight without first giving him the signal, and Bell doesn't give a flying what about his willingness to fight.
Real quick, I didn't even realize how the show was like planting the seeds for the Bell fight and Brother Day. Like, we saw them both have their little moments. Like, Brother Day got attacked in his bedroom and he was able to show that he could handle himself, he could throw hands. And then we see this moment with Bell. I didn't even peep that they was showing us the size up for what would end up being the final boss fight later in the season. That, man, this show's so good. Even on a rewatch, man, that is so and this is the thing that I love. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is like there just to like have a background scene or set the tone or just have a mood. Everything is intentional. Ooh.
Telling Glaywin to just shut up and walk.
Wix. One platform. Any website. Unlimited creation.
We then switch back to Terminus with Holber Mallow, Brother Constant, Polly, and Director Seth all approaching the vault. Holber is rightfully freaked out that his name is written on the side of the vault, especially after he sees what happened to Warden Yeager when he suddenly gets sucked into the vault without warning.
Just a quick reminder, this all happens after everything with Harry White and Gale and Salvor and the Metallics on Ignis. Harry didn't just come up with the name Holber Mallow. He didn't just, he didn't see it in the Prime Radiant. That's a result of him meeting Salvor in the because of the Prime Radiant when she was trapped on Ignis. She met Harry Black and he was like, "Yo, I remember you from season 1." And he was like, "Well, I know Harry White. Aren't you him?" He's like, "Nah, there's another you." And he's like, well, she knew he didn't know. And she also knew that making him aware of the other Harry's existence was gonna be a monkey wrench. But my point in this is just to highlight that this all happened because she met that Harry while she was imprisoned and gave him the name Holber Mallow. And that's when he decided to make Holber part of his plan for everything that we see that happens on Terminus.
Constant, Polly, and Director Seth all walk into the vault to follow after Holber, and we learn that the vault is freaking weird. Like, the vault is humongous on the inside, and time passes differently while they're in there. They find Holber, and he tells them that he's been wandering inside the vault for 2 days, while it's only been 2 minutes for Polly and Constant. They begin exploring inside the vault with what sounds like whispers everywhere. But we don't actually see anyone else in the vault. Polly says he hears music, and they continue exploring. After what seems like a long walk, they finally have an idea of where the music is coming from, and they come across what appears to be a living area when they get approached from behind by the vault version of Harry Seldon. Now, we're going to have to give the two Harrys identifiers because this can get confusing. To make things simple, I'm going to call this guy Harry Black since he likes to dress in all black. What's interesting is that this Harry knows their names before they even introduce themselves, with Harry greeting director Cermak by name. Also, he seems a little more cynical, dicky, mean. I mean, he throws Cermak some low-key shade when he greets him and says, "You look like you built yourself a mountain to stand atop, with such a fine suit as well." Sure, yeah, this could be a Greek god reference with director Seth's haircut, but either way, it does not seem like it was an outright compliment toward the dude. Before Harry Black can finish that thought, he's interrupted by Brother Constant, who diffuses that moment by introducing herself. Harry Black comments on how the Foundation has entered its religious phase at the sight of Constant's robes, and greets her like an old-school friend compared to the way he greeted director Seth, and even gives her an approving pat on the head for her devotion. We then finally see Harry and Polly meet, with Polly downright being awestruck in the presence of what has to be his hero. Interestingly, Harry Black recognizes Polly from when he was a boy, after he introduces himself, and he comments on how he was just so young yesterday. And is this weird? Like, how the hell does Harry Black know that Polly was the little boy from 130 years ago? First, he's asking for Holber Mallow by name, and now this. Harry Black and Polly talk for a bit, with Polly figuring out that the vault is a four-dimensional object that
So we know why he knows Holber Mallow. We get an idea, I guess he's digital. He remembers. He doesn't forget stuff. So he could recognize Polly even though it's been so long. I guess his sensors are just like, oh yeah, I know this DNA.
In a three-dimensional space. We then see Harry Black meet Holber Mallow, with Holber going in on the food inside the vault that is made of Harry's body molecules. Real quick, these things are starting to add up with Harry Black. First, he killed Warden Yeager. Then, he requested the Foundation bring him Holber Mallow. Now, he's clearly identifying people and the things that are happening outside of the vault, which is just seeming weirder and weirder as time goes on. I can't help but wonder if the Prime Radiant has anything to do with this. First, we saw Kali give Harry White a new body without explanation, and I can't help but wonder if Harry Black's knowledge of the outside world and his change in demeanor have anything to do with her. Let's put that in the back of our minds for now, but I think this might be something we'll revisit later. Harry Black.
Okay, so I kind of touched on a little bit about how I suspect that Harry White is a byproduct, or has been strongly influenced at the very least by Calais. Now I'm remembering, yeah, there's evidence that she also might have had influence on Harry Black. So the question remains, was she at all a factor in influencing the original Harry, that was the original biological Harry, steering him on this path in the first place? And if it leads into my overall greater theory that we discussed earlier about Demerzel.
Then says something super interesting when he says he heard Holber during his wanderings and his adventures. Harry Black continues to explain how he's going to need everyone to prevent a war.
These easy balanced meals kick takeout to the curb. Factor helped me take control over what I'm eating and spending on
We then switch back to Belle, Rios, and Glaylin carrying the supplies that they needed to meet up with their informant. They finally make their way to a house by what appears to be a coast, and as they approach the home, they get ambushed by someone with a rifle pointed at them from behind. Belle and Glaylin introduce themselves and state that they're here for information about magicians. The guy holding the gun denies knowing anything about any magicians when Belle Rios says that secret password by saying, "Patrician, the magicians I'm concerned with hail from beyond the frontier guards, where the stars are scattered thinly." And yup, now we know why the episode is named this. The guy asks to be called Dewsum and walks Belle and Glaylin into his home. Glaylin warns him that they had a run-in with the locals, so they're gonna have to keep this brief. Dewsum explains he's been manning his post as an informant for over 40 years without anyone even responding, but he's been loyal to his duty. What happens next is a little surprising as Dewsum steps away to fix them some drinks. Glaylin notices that Dewsum is in possession of some books on a bookshelf, and my guy doesn't even know what to do with himself when he sees them. Apparently, books are all but extinct in the time of Foundation, with Glaylin commenting how his adult ass has never seen a book. They hold up their drinks, but I don't think they actually drink anything, with Dewsum just taking.
Yeah, we got to take a second to let that sink in, because that was a big thing about there was this scene in season 2 where they do a flashback of a young Harry, and we see him interacting with his mom and his dad. And then Harry was like drawing a map in between these stampeding animals of how to survive and walk through them without being trampled. And he ripped out a page out of his father's book. His dad had a book. Now, we haven't learned how his dad got his hands on a book, but this scene did explain to us just how important books were. Because when I first saw it, I just thought he was just, he was just disciplining his son for being, like a disobedient kid, like doing something crazy. I didn't understand the inherent value of books that also, supported why he did that. So that's why I really just wanted to highlight this scene, because even though we're talking about what's going on with Glaylin and Bel Rios, this still also relates to what we saw happen with Harry.
Taking a hit of his pipe instead. Dewsum then shows some footage of that scene from episode 2 with Brother Constant putting on her magician show for the locals. Bel Rios notices that she has a personal aura and begins asking if the magicians mention the Foundation, with Dewsum confirming so with some footage. Bel then asks about the vault, and Dewsum tells him that the rumors are that it contains the spirit of the late Harry Seldon, with Glaylin commenting that evolutionary AI was banned centuries ago. Now, this is something that feels like that they just snuck in something really, really important, as it feels like we have at least 3 evolutionary AIs on the loose right now, with Harry Black, Demerzel, and Kali. Dewsum continues snitching, and even shows that the Foundation is able to make jumps in space with their own whisper ships. An alarm then goes off with a whole militia of people banging outside Dewsum's door to get their hands on Bel and Glaylin. Dewsum pushes a bookcase and tells Bel and Glaylin to use his secret exit. And before they go, please, shoot him in the head. Bel is just as thrown off as we all are, but after Dewsum tells him that the pipe he smoked earlier was already poisoned, so he's going to die anyway, it makes it a little bit more easier for Bel to oblige and make his death a little bit more dignified. Bel goes Terminator mode and pulls the trigger before they head up the stairs and out the secret exit. They make their way to the supplies that they were carrying, which we find out is actually some sort of flying escape teleport thingy that shoots them into the sky like bullets on a railgun. We then switch back to Harry Black inside the vault, and he's being a gracious host and offering the team he's assembled a drink. Oddly, Harry fixes a drink for everyone but himself. Polly then notices the Prime Radiant on Harry's desk and also mentions how Salvor Hardin took that thing with her over a century ago. So how does Harry have it? Harry even comments on Polly's curiosity and... Hold on, real quick. How smart is Polly? I know this is a futuristic society, so people are probably more educated, but the fact that he figured out the whole 4D object and a 3D space thing, and now when Harry explains how he has the Prime Radiant, Polly is the one who mentions how it's an object that can exist in 2 places at once. It just feels like the show is hinting that he's a lot smarter than we probably know. Harry then explains his plan, telling the group that Polly and Constant need to go to Trantor and open diplomatic relations with the Foundation, with the goal to delay the war as long as possible. Harry asks if they've developed jump ships to travel, and when Seth confirms, he advises them not to use them to go to Trantor. But how does he know these people's names but needs confirmation on what technology they have? If you haven't been able to tell, Harry Black is on my sus list. Polly and Constant agree to take on the mission, with Harry Black even giving Constant an approving kiss on the top of her forehead, and then throws the director some more shade as a parting gift. As everyone prepares to leave, he tells Halbert to stay behind so that they can talk. Polly lingers a bit and asks Harry about Jaeger, with Harry saying,
Real quick, do we all remember how fucked up Harry is for that right there? That little kiss on the forehead he did to Brother Constant? Like, we thought it was all some, affection. I want to show you something for, risking your life for my plan. No, he imprinted a backup of himself in her just by touching her.
to be completely unaware of who he was talking about at first, at least until Polly reminds him it was the dude that he incinerated on his porch last episode, and asks why he killed him. Harry stated that as a god, he has to intermittently be wrathful, and asked how long before Warden Jaeger became a problem himself and declared himself the only holy vessel worthy of his spirit. Polly asks if it was divine judgment, with Harry stating, "Let no being presume upon my mercy." And I don't know about you, but that statement right there is all sorts of sus. Like, didn't Harry White and Kali already have a bit of issue when Kali said she was interested in mankind's future, but didn't say she was interested in mankind's survival? Harry Seldon always planned for someone to die as part of his plan, but this just feels cold. Polly walks away, but chooses not to drink the wine Harry offered him earlier. Harry Black and Holbert are left alone and begin talking about what Harry has planned for Holbert. Harry states that a passing ghost mentions his name and asks Holbert to tell him his story. They talk for a bit and they share that they have a School of Hard Knocks history with their dads. And Holbert points out that he's not a fan of Harry's approach with having a whole religion. And Harry mentions how it will eventually go away and get replaced by another mechanism. He then tells Holbert that he has another plan for him, and Holbert is in. We then switch to Sareth and join her room, her handman, and what looks like a guard from within the Cleonic Empire. In other words, they got themselves a snitch. Sareth promises him safety from the Empire, money, and more to be open with them. We learn that his name is Markley, and Sareth tells Markley that she wants to know if Cleon the 17th had a hand in her family's deaths. He says he doesn't know the answer, but he promises to help get to the bottom of it. And Sareth adds that she also wants the records from the day that Cleon was almost assassinated to find out how he survived.
This brilliant device keeps your home cool in summer, even during heat waves and power outages. It's smaller than a lunchbox, cools any room within.
We then switch back to Terminus, with Holbert finally making his way out of the vault 3 hours later, with the vault closing its doors behind him. Holbert tells them that he has a different mission than Polly and Constant, but he was instructed to take the ship on his secret mission. Polly and Constant agree, with Constant getting really sad about splitting up from Holbert, stating that she was really looking forward to joining that list of Holbert's bed partners, and even tells her that she had plans for Holbert to be her first bed partner. Holbert is taken aback, but seems to warm up to the idea as they continue talking about it. The whole scene is cute and intimate, with Holbert even continuing to try to guess Brother Constant's real name. They seal the conversation with a kiss on the cheek. We then switch to see Holbert boarding the ship and taking off. But as he's leaving, he gives Brother Constant a nice long stare goodbye from the bridge of the ship. And then, end credits. And wow, that episode was actually kind of great. Like, I didn't even miss the fact that we didn't see or hear anything about Gale, Salver, Harry White, and his brand new body on that other planet, and that this episode didn't pick up from any of the cliffhanger plot points from last week. I mean, I am kind of annoyed, but this episode was so good that I can forgive them. What the F is up with Harry Black, and why is he even more of a dick than before? What mission did he set Holber on at the end of the episode? What's going to happen when Bel Rios and Glaywin catch up with the Foundation and confirm the rumors are true? Oh, and now that we know that Queen Sareth is hardcore investigating the Cleon's involvement in her family's deaths, what's next? And is it me, or is the royal doo-doo going to hit the royal fan now that she has a snitch on the inside? And what is it with this show and snitches? There's a lot of snitches on this show. So many questions and more, but that's it. That's all I have for this week. Do me a favor. If you're new here to the movie blog, please consider giving this video a like before you head on to your next video. And also, you know what? Yo, just do it. Subscribe. This way, you can join the Foundation and you can join us every week as we try our best to get to the bottom of this futuristic show and try to figure out the twists and turns along the way. Do it. Subscribe. Otherwise, I'm going to have to check you all later. Peace.
All right. Had me back. Take that off. There we go. So yeah, that was the episode. You know, that was pretty good. That was a pretty solid episode. I remember that episode, and you know, going through it, you guys, if you read my reactions, yeah, I know my face is spoilers. My face is spoilers. So take of it what you will, because there's definitely food for thought there when we talk about lineage and generations and ancestors. Yeah. So yeah, take it with it. Take from it what you will, and we'll go from there. But yeah, that was the second episode for us today. What we do? We did episodes 3, and we did episode 4. We did the theory. We did the F1 review. Oh, we did some Frumley time. We did the season 4 talk. We did the panel. We did the after panel with Scott McCord and David Alpay. And yeah, it was, we did a lot look, we've been going live for almost 3 hours. 3 hours. And I you know, I missed you guys. We haven't been together in a while. So I wanted to really get out so much of the stuff that I had bottled up inside of me for over the past 2 weeks. And I'm very excited to finally get to talk about everything with everyone here. But yeah, I see some of you guys joined in a little bit late. Thank you all for coming through. I did touch on a bunch of stuff in this stream. So again, if you're interested at all in what is happening with From season 4, if you're interested in my F1 review for the film F1 starring Brad Pitt and Damson Idris, I also talked a little bit about Ironheart and my interview with executive producer Ryan Coogler and series writer Shanaka Hodge, where I asked them straight up, like, yo, what did you guys do in anticipation of all the pre-backlash that usually precedes shows like Ironheart? And they gave us an answer, and they also let us know does Disney get involved. So if you guys are interested in that, rewind or go watch the full interview over on the channel. Thank you to the African American Film Critics Association for giving me this opportunity to speak with executive producer Nate Moore and Shanaka Hodge. Thank you all for coming back and rocking with me. I really appreciate you guys. I'm not going to live stream next week. I'm going to try to live stream the week after. I do have some stuff scheduled to come out in the interim. So it's not like you won't be seeing me, but I won't be live streaming. But I am going to have a video for us for Foundation Season 3, Episode 1. It comes out July 11th. I'm going to try to do another live stream or 2 before next week, just so that we can try to get through the rest of Foundation season 2 in our rewatch. But again, if you guys are just now checking in, or if you're new here, please do me a favor, hit that like button. Hit that like button. Check out the merch store. Grab yourself a t-shirt. I also have some Foundation season 3 shirts coming. Join the channel memberships, share it with your friends, and come back next week as we dive into it in season 3. Trust me, season 3 is all gas, no brakes. We're gonna want to talk about it. I'm gonna check you all later. Peace, y'all. Oh, where's my button?